This podcast looks a little bit different than normal podcasts. This one was filmed live at MAGICCON Las Vegas 2025 very recently.
Yeah, so thank you everyone who showed up to the podcast, and hopefully we'll be able to do more of these in the future.
Now let's get into it.
Na 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 na.
Wait, you're supposed to be in the middle.
Hello, hello.
We already sat down. No, we already sat down. It's gotta keep the
We're already
motion.
here. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
How is everybody today?
Good, good. Wow,
I'm
there's so
glad to
many
hear.
of you here. I'm gonna face you guys.
This
I don't
is
have to look
going
at so
great.
many
Yeah, back
people.
up a
Yeah,
little
back
bit.
up.
Wait,
We have to make it more
Dylan,
circular.
now I want to be in the middle.
All right, now we'll
Okay.
switch.
Oh,
We'll do the
okay.
switch. Yeah, this is fine now.
you
But I'm
good
gonna
where you
still
are?
move the plane back.
You know what? I
Can
don't
you two
know.
switch too?
You
All right,
guys
no
are
switch
you
over
guys
there.
switch.
And
You
I didn't
guys
even get my
switch.
notebook either. Okay.
We have a notebook.
We
right?
have a
Give it to
notebook.
us.
We're okay.
We're good on
Yeah.
notebook. MAGICCON Las Vegas. Thanks everyone for being here. This is the first ever. Yes. Round of applause for yourself.
Yeah, all right.
This is the first ever podcast live that we've ever done. We've never done this before. We filmed lots of podcasts, and we cut a lot of the dead silence out. So bear with us. Appreciate you for being with us in here today.
I do a lot of work throughout the week.
Kim does a lot of work. Takes him a whole week to edit this thing normally.
The bar is very high. You have to be a more gracious audience than Dylan's adorable two dogs, Jack and Jill.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
No,
good
yeah, normally
point.
they're beneath us.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Normally I say something in the beginning. This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Normally I would say there's an affiliate link, but today Dragon Shield booth is here downstairs where you can get play-to-win sleeves right at the booth or right there. Isn't
And
that
that's
cool?
super
If you
freaking
want
cool.
to.
Yeah,
It's like
so you can do that.
affiliate link, like a real
Verbal
one.
affiliate
Yeah,
link.
if
you
you
can
walk
think
up
of
to them
that
and
like.
say http://
They'll know what you mean.
Yeah,
they'll know what you mean.
exactly. And you
Yeah,
go, oh,
they'll
that's
know.
the 5% off code. Okay, yeah. They won't look at you crazy. All right, so what I have here is a list that's called Play to Win Pod. Oh, wait a
You got to
minute.
do the intro. Welcome to the Play-to-Win
Oh,
podcast. 'cause
shoot,
I have
yeah.
mine, and then you got-
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
You go next.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Dylan. Messed me up. I'm Dylan. This week we have a list of cards that has been given to us by, I'm not exactly sure who. We have maybe Greg? Wizards gave us the list of cards. We're going
Yeah.
to talk about this cards in reference to cEDH, obviously.
Yeah.
And of course we will be ranking them, but we have not seen this list, so we have no idea what's on it.
We have no idea what's on it. Yeah, I just know that it's called Play to Win Podcast Live.
All right, so we got the right list. That's
We
a good
got-
start.
all right.
Good start.
Phew.
Hopefully.
All right. All right, so our first card that we're going to talk about, are these in alphabetical order? No, no spoilers, Cameron, no spoilers. All right, here we go. Our first card we're going to talk about is Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Okay. Yeah.
We should read what the
Armageddon.
cards do,
We should
although
read
everyone
what these
knows what they
cards
do.
Armageddon is 3 and a white for a sorcery that says destroy all lands.
Destroy all
No,
lands.
that's
simple.
Ravages of War. Now I'm confused.
Destroy all lands each player controls, or is it
What do you mean each player controls?
We're looking for the
each player controls.
Armageddon. I feel like, all right, so I have thoughts right away.
Hit me with your thoughts, please, Dylan.
I feel like this is a type of card that is a perfect example of if you have not quite played a ton of cEDH, you think this card has got to be good because it's disgustingly powerful in bracket 3 and 4 and 2 and all of the others. It's very strong. It's thought of as like the main thing that we don't want to see in casual pods. So obviously it should be good in cEDH, but it's not. Right?
It's really not. First of all, I think a lot of it is based around the difference in mana that cEDH and EDH has. Like
Yes.
EDH as a format, Casual Commander, is way more focused around lands and playing things like Farseek and other land ramping effects because there's like this.
The unspoken rule.
Well, it's now a very spoken
Now it's
rule.
spoken.
Now
Yeah,
that
we've
we
spoken about it
have
now. Do the brackets.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
the brackets have kind of made it like very obvious that this is not something that we're trying to do in most games of EDH.
Right.
But in turn, what that means in cEDH is because we're not focused so much on lands, we're focused on other sources of mana, which are mostly in form of mana rocks.
Artifact mana, or like Mana Dorks, Gaia's Cradle, although Armageddon would be good as Gaia's Cradle.
You know what? As Gaia's Cradle gets better
I
and
don't
better.
think
Still no.
it's good,
Still no.
Dylan.
Still
No,
no.
I'm
No,
not pretty sure
but
it's
you
still bad.
also play mana rocks, though.
I want my Gaia's Cradle to stay around. I don't want to destroy my Gaia's
you
Cradle.
want your Gaia's Cradle?
I want it, yes. I don't want to Armageddon it away.
okay,
Yes.
So then you also got to run something that gives it indestructible.
Oh, okay.
No,
so we're
you
playing
still run
Avacyn,
Armageddon, you just
8
also
mana
run-
Avacyn and Armageddon. Oh wait, but then we
No,
can't play
there's
Gaia's
that.
Cradle.
What's that?
Doesn't sound like cEDH
Exalted
anymore.
Deeds? There's that combo that used to work with Mutavault? That was that big artifact that could make Mutavault an angel. Because Mutavault was an angel, now you couldn't lose the game.
Sure, that's going off.
Who
in a
remembers this?
that's
Does anyone
going
remember
in a
this from
different
Standard?
direction
It was
for
a
me.
Dungeons and Dragons card.
It exists. We
yeah,
confirm
it exists.
does
It was
exist.
a combo
Okay,
that
yeah.
happened. Yep.
Armageddon also, 4 mana isn't so much mana. At 4 mana, many other cards do much more powerful things or like are very powerful in your game plan or straight up win the game, right? Like Smothering Tithe is a super powerful engine that's going to stick around for the entirety of the game, give you a ton of mana. Armageddon is going to set you back, and in the past, Armageddon has been used alongside attacking creatures, like an Elvish Mystic that can be pumped up with your Lord or something, Armageddon, the old decks. That's what they would use. You would use like the clock that you establish afterwards to kill your opponents. But when the clock is 120 life amongst your opponents, that's like way more hard to do with Armageddon.
Yeah.
Is this a thing? If you play Jetmir and also play Collector Oof and just get so far ahead on creatures and say, no one has mana anymore, I'm going to Armageddon, and now you
No, it's not a thing.
No.
Cameron, the core of the argument is still the same.
Why?
The core of the argument is there are so many mana sources that aren't lands that this is not going to wipe all of your opponents out. So even if you can get around the mana denial yourself, you're still not going to benefit enough from it to justify running a 4-mana sorcery in cEDH, which is also ironic because it's the only format in which like the social atmosphere of like, no, you just play what you think is good is enough that you wouldn't get unfriended by everyone you play it against.
I see, okay.
It is kind of a bummer because Armageddon doesn't really have a home, right? It's too strong for any of the casual pods and too weak for cEDH, or does it have like a firm home in...
Its firm home is Vintage Cube now,
That's true.
because
Okay,
the
sure.
white weenie decks are actually decent in Vintage
Yeah.
Cube. You can build out your board, and there's only one other player, right?
Okay.
who
I'm
probably
kind of
doesn't
curious, does
those
anyone
mana
have any
sources.
success with Armageddon in casual? A little bit? Okay, so...
Armageddon
one out
Heroic
of all of you.
Intervention.
Okay, one,
yeah.
and it was one of these out of all of you. Okay, so I think
But that was not many. That
Yeah.
was not many.
He just
so.
volunteered that he was the villain, like just unquestioned.
Yeah, just like...
He admitted.
I'm going to give this one a firm 0, I think.
Because it
Armageddon?
hasn't, it's historically not really been something that's in cEDH.
We could, so the rating system, we could explain it nicely for Tyler, which
Yeah,
he loves.
I would
Okay.
appreciate
I would
that.
like to explain it to me, too.
Yeah, for you too. So
Yeah.
all right, we'll stick with the normal rating system. 5 is a cEDH staple that goes in every single deck. This is like saved for like Soul Ring, basically. And maybe Chromox and Mox Diamond, although recently I've been seeing some chatter that maybe those cards don't belong in every deck, and I just saw your eyebrow go, that can't be right, and I kind of agree. But 5 is that. 4 is this goes in most decks. This is a cEDH card. This is Into the Floodmaw or Chain of Vapor, although maybe those cards are a little 4 point something, right? But those cards go in just about every deck. 3 is, it's a good card in a certain deck. It's going to be playable in that certain deck, but it's not overarching really that powerful in other strategies, right?
Displacer King.
Displacer
like really
King.
good in Atali and not very good in a lot of other decks.
If you're playing Blue Atali, Displacer Kid is a firm 5. But
As we
overall,
learned
3,
yesterday,
right?
yeah.
And then 2 is like, this is a fine card in some decks. It's playable, but it's cuttable. It's not the best, but it's not going to drag your deck down. And then 1 is like not a cEDH card, really. Like, if you wanted to, I'm not going to stop you, but I don't think it's going to improve your win rate out of 1, right?
This is a slightly adjusted list than what we normally do, because normally 3 is when it's in one deck. When it's a 3.
And then we have 1 and 2 that are that bad?
Well, because there's a lot of bad cards.
Good thing we make up this list on the fly every time.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's what I'm going by for right now.
All right, that sounds good. So, and we're giving Armageddon a dead 0 because it's...
Well, we can't give everything, we can't do any repeats, right? So maybe should we give it like a 0 point something?
Oh, we can't do any
Why
repeats?
can't we do repeats this time?
So we can rank them
Guys,
evenly.
usually we get at least like 2 cards in before you start doing decimals.
Okay, just 0. Let's just start it with the zeros.
All right,
Just start it with the 0. I think it's a firm 0.
All right, that sounds good. Okay, all right. Should we talk about another card?
I would love to.
Because I asked them to give us like 20 to 25 cards.
Nice.
So we got a lot. I know.
Good
All
thing
right,
we spent 8 minutes on that first one.
Good.
So
Have you
do the math,
noticed
we should
that the
be here.
pattern with the podcast is we spend 8 to 10 minutes on
And
the
then
first
speed up
card?
so
And then after
much.
an hour, I'm like, I'm sick of talking.
I was like, oh man, this card. Oh yeah, it's a 2. All right, next. All right. Najila the Blade Blossom is our next card. Najila is 2 and a red for a 3/2. A legendary human warrior that says whenever Najila attacks, you make a tapped and attacking warrior.
Whenever a warrior attacks.
Whenever it doesn't have to be just Najila. You're right. I messed those words. And then you make a tapped and attacking 1/1 warrior for each attacking warrior.
Whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. So for each warrior, this will trigger, and then also for your opponents. Everyone knows what Najila does.
Are you sure?
I'm
Except
positive.
me, apparently.
We know in practice,
but me.
like spitting it out with magic templating may be a little trickier.
Yeah.
But
you
also,
know
she also has a
roughly.
Wooburg ability,
A
though,
Wooburg
too?
ability that says untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Activate this only during combat.
Does it say what year Najila came out?
It sure does. It came out in the year Battle Bond. Shoot. I don't know. When did Battle Bond come out?
Battle Bond was like 2017.
The copyright is 2018, so roughly around there,
roughly
probably.
around there. Yeah,
we'll say 2018.
2018, I would
Yeah.
want to say. Okay, that
I
sounds
gave
good.
first thoughts on the last one. Do you have first thoughts on Najila?
No. First, I want people. If Najila is your main commander, raise your hand.
All right, we won't.
Oh my
all right,
God,
we'll only
only
insult one
one?
person. Okay, great.
Cool. All right, so if you leave, we'll know we did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think about Najila right now, today in the cEDH metagame?
I think right now I feel like I see more I see a lot less in Nagila than I'm expecting because it is still a very good 5-color deck.
Yeah.
But I think that people that want to play just like 5-color good stuff are interested in switching to the new 5-color good stuff every time. And like now there's Terra, and
Right, now they're
Sisei's
on
been
Terra,
like
yeah.
Sisei's been ascendant.
Yeah.
Sisei's activations too, so it's just so much harder to interact with the Nagila. But I think especially for newer players, a commander that has a built-in game plan, like a plan B where you just attack people to death, is a very good thing to have, and it also makes it a deck that operates reasonably well under stacks because as long as your commander is out, you're going to be able to do something to advance.
Keep
your game
attacking,
plan.
right? You
So
just keep moving.
I'm pretty high on Nagila still.
Yeah.
Like we don't see it much, but I still think it's a very good commander.
I think you have a good point that a lot of the times 5-color pilots are the type of player that switch on in between different things a lot. I think that makes a lot of
you would
sense.
know, Dylan.
I would know, and I have played a decent amount of 5-color decks, and I'm playing Terra right now, and I'm not playing Nagila. My big issue with Nagila, especially in this mid-range heck, we can say hell, maybe? Mid-range hell, I don't know.
It's a place,
It's
right?
a place.
So
it's a place, yeah.
It's a proper noun, so I think we're allowed
in this
to
world,
say that.
I feel like Nagila, the board gets clogged up really quick, which is, although funny because Tymna is still really good, but Tymna is good because Tymna is in Tymnacrom a good color, a 4-color good stuff deck that Tymna is a backup plan. So I have found that Nagila just doesn't connect quite as much, and I don't see it actually doing the Nagila thing. You're just doing the other thing, the breach thing, the ad nauseum thing, which is a good thing. But right now, I feel like Terra kind of provides something really cool for the Underworld breach strategy of like Stitcher Supplier in the command zone, kind of like not exactly, but like I've been leaning more towards that recently. So although we have been talking about the Bant core recently, the core of Derevi and Gaia's Cradle and untapping your lands and this like blue-green / sometimes white or sometimes red strategy of just like Gaia's Cradle. The deck is Gaia's Cradle. And like, when I think about it on paper, Nagila sounds like it could be good for that because it's an army in a can and it makes your Gaia's Cradle good, but I don't know if in practice it'll make enough creatures quick enough.
Because I guess you can use the infinite mana to put into Nagila activations, but you already have to be in an advantageous spot for that to work out.
Right.
Like, it's not like Thrasios where you just put your infinite mana into Thrasios and then no matter where everyone else in the game is, you can just draw your whole deck
You
and win
can
the game.
press that button on your opponent's turn. This one you have to be
Exactly.
in your own combat, right?
Although Nagila's not seeing as much play right now, historically, like Nagila is 7 years old now. Did I do 8 years old?
At least something
7
like that.
years old.
I know when we got into CDH, this was the first deck that I took to a tournament, and it was like one of the very popular, I feel like it was a very popular deck.
Oh,
at that
for
time, 5
sure,
years
yeah.
ago, right?
But we've gotten a lot of tools since then. And like you said, there's a lot of other things. And even outside of Terra, like the Wandering Minstrel is also another 5-color commander that we just got.
Yeah, that I think is also like maybe really good.
Certainly
Like
something,
I think
yeah.
it quietly might, I don't want to say it's better than Terra because I love the play style of Terra, but if your brain is big enough, I think the Wandering Minstrel is actually like really good.
So not us.
So maybe you, not me though.
But considering that Nagila still has a lot of historical cEDH, you know, gravitas and weight,
You're going to grandfather in a few points.
we should give Nagila a couple of extra
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
Because this is all of cEDH, not necessarily
Yeah.
just the meta right now.
And not necessarily TEDH, because TEDH, tournament EDH, where you're focusing on, you know, a timed round, or draws are worth points, it makes the game very different. And I think Nagila, although the combat damage, I feel like Nagila is a little bit worse in the TDH, whereas in the, we're doing CDH, we're playing on our kitchen table, we're just all trying to jam, maybe Nagila's a little bit better there.
I think you'll also, in kitchen table scenarios, find more decks that allow Nagila to get in because they're not trying to have Tymna in the command zone for every single deck, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that specific metagame also really can hurt or help Nagila, depending on what you find.
I'm going to give Nagila at least a 2. At least a 3, maybe. 2.7.
See, this is tough because
But
our
as a
scale...
commander, it's different than your normal
I was
scale.
just thinking
True,
that,
you're
yeah.
right.
'cause,
It
like,
doesn't go in. Well, it goes in maybe some medium Sisei decks.
every Nagila deck plays this card.
That's the first step. Every Nagila deck plays this card.
All right, so that's a certain percentage. I'm
so
going to give
like a 3?
Nagila a 2.5.
2.5. I was leaning
Yeah.
towards 2.7.
If we're talking like on the scale of like all CDH commanders that I see, I'm gonna give it a solid 3.
Solid 3, okay. 3.
Solid 3. What does that average to? I'm so glad I'm not doing the math.
2.7. That's got to be like a probably 2.7 or something.
Oh, good lord.
Right? It's probably like
What did we give it?
3,
we're
2.5, 2.7 has got to be like 2.7
why
a
couldn't you just say
little.
2.75?
No, because we're going to do averages based on feel.
Oh, I'm so sure.
I got to trust my gut on this.
Yeah, I think that'll go way
fantastic,
better.
Cameron.
Okay.
I'm really
All right, so it's
happy.
better. So far we have Nagila and then Armageddon as far as lists that we were given to talk about at MAGICCON 2025.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
there on CDH. Okay, what's number 3?
I think we're at 100% so far.
This is going great.
All right, here we go. Demonic Consultation.
Okay.
This is a black mana for an instance spell that
I love how you're
says-
taking this as a challenge every time to
I
remember
am,
the whole
yeah.
card.
Oh, I'm going to do great,
There's
too.
no way you get this one.
So I'm not going to get it verbatim, but
No
the
way.
gist of it is that when you cast it, after it resolves, you name a card, and then you reveal cards from your library until you reveal that card.
Already wrong.
Hold up. I'm not done.
Finish phrasing
I'm
it
not
right.
done, yeah. But if it's within your top 6, you just lose the game immediately. 'Cause
Gone.
You can't stop if it's in your top 6. It says it just like that on the card, but you can't stop if it's in your top 6.
Says it just
You
like
just
that.
lose the game.
It's just written like a rambling, tired person how they would write it.
Which honestly, like the oldest Magic cards, a little
That's
bit.
how
Like
they
if you
feel
ever
sometimes,
read
yeah.
like Dance of the Dead, like the original
Someone
wording,
who
you're
was
just like,
really tired wrote this out. I think.
You can't be confused reading alpha cards. They're so obvious, right?
Demonic Consultation. You want to go first on this one? What are your initial thoughts?
So in case anyone doesn't know, this is a combo piece with a card called Thassa's Oracle, which is a little-known card in cEDH that...
Can I quick
We got
pause?
some booze for Thassa's Oracle already.
Can I have a quick tally? How many people in here have never played cEDH?
Ooh.
A lot of you. Wow.
Wow, okay. That's
How many
like
of
at
you
least
have never
25%.
watched Play to Win? Okay. Oh, one or two. Great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys immensely for
okay,
being
so
here.
so there are a good chunk of you who haven't played cEDH, but everyone. How many of you don't know what Demonic Consultation does? Everyone's all right. Next.
I just
Well, good,
said what it
perfect.
does, though. Like, beautifully. How is anyone still confused?
this guy's not even listening. Get him out of here.
You're in the front row.
Okay, good. I just wanted to get an idea of who we're talking
All right,
to.
well,
Great.
let me break it down a little bit more. So Thassa's Oracle is one of the most notorious win conditions in all of Magic the Gathering now, where for a blue mana and a second blue mana, if you have no cards in your library, I'm doing great today.
Great.
Yeah, but basically it's the most difficult way to interact with as a win condition because its enter the battlefield ability just says you win the game if you meet the criteria of there being a few enough cards in your deck to equal your devotion to blue, which is why it counts for blue, and its mana value. And Demonic Consultation, if you name a card that's not in your library, like Tarmogoyf in your Grixis deck, you get to just exile your entire library so that your Thassa's Oracle can just win you the game right there.
Yeah, well said. My initial thoughts
Thanks.
here, yeah, you got it great. That was great. For Demonic Consultation, I feel like for a very long time, basically, I kind of all of cEDH's like main fame because I feel like weirdly enough, Thassa's Oracle kind of brought cEDH to popularity. Like it made an entry point really easy to understand. Of like,
Right,
I get that combo. I know how
it's
that
like,
works.
oh, it's not a weird flash line with like Breakfast Hulk and blah, blah,
Right,
blah.
yeah,
It's
so it
like,
made it
oh, there's
easy.
2 cards? Cool.
Perfect, yeah. And I think obviously that has made it like it's the de facto of like this is what everything else compares to. This is a 3 total mana, 2 card in combo that wins the game on the spot. You don't need anything else. So everything else kind of has to like compare to this. This is like the lightning bolts to Tarmogoyf in Modern of just like the lightning bolt has to get rid of the good enough creature for it to hit. Everything kind of has to think about Demonic Consultation and Thassa's Oracle for it like to be as in the conversation of cEDH. But I feel like recently it's like lost a little bit of popularity, and I don't know if that's just because cEDH pilots are bored of playing it and they want to play more Gaia's Cradle and stuff like that deck. So you have reason. Okay, my thought was, or it's just a little bit risky. We've gotten a little bit more tools. Exiling your library is a little bit risky, and normally when you're winning the game in cEDH, you get to a point where you have such a dominant position. It doesn't matter what anyone does. You'll win over top. Whereas this one allows you only for those quick wins. Sorry, I went a little bit over. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, I think a lot of the reason that it's sort of fallen out of favor is that it's much easier to interact with than most win cons. And like you said, it is risky. And more we're seeing decks that are able to win through activations or through things that are effectively uncounterable in one way or another, kind of taking over the meta. And it's precisely because people hate getting blown out. If you like cast Demcon and exile your whole library and go, haha, and then your opponent like endurance is your graveyard, then you weep.
You're out of the game. You weep.
cry.
But if something like a Kinnan or a big mana deck, if you go for a win, a lot of the times you're like, okay, I will activate Kinnan 3 times, and then now I have a Seedborn Muse in play, and now that win didn't really matter.
That's true.
So for like the style of like what wins games of cEDH, I feel like that if you want to win after turn 3 or turn 4, there are a lot of strategies that are a lot better because the metagame is all centered around this, because all of our interaction is counterspells, because we have to have counterspells to stop Thassa's Oracle. So that's what the interaction is playing. So the decks that can go kind of around that and do a bunch of creatures and do a bunch of activations that don't care about counterspells, that makes those strategies like they get to attack the meta in kind of a cool way.
Yes.
Still, Demonic Consultation is still like 4+. It's still like one of the best cards of the format.
And whereas like many cards that are like explicitly in your deck to just win the game might do nothing in other contexts, Demonic Consultation is weirdly flexible where it kind of does do other things.
Yeah.
It is like your emergency shit button where you press this button and you can, maybe you'll have to exile half your deck, but you can go find a free counterspell that is going to shut down someone's win right now.
Yeah,
Sometimes if you like mulligan and you go down to 5 or something and you have Thassa's Oracle, you like put it on the bottom, you're like, I know it's on the bottom. Now I can Demonic Consultation, get Thassa's Oracle from the very bottom of my library and then just cast it, and it's a 1-card win con now.
Yeah.
So it has more uses, so it's not just a combo card, it still performs other roles at other times.
And I think that's important for combo pieces, for them to be able to lean into each other, right? Like combo pieces, like the Tainted Pact can find well, Tainted Pact is not Demonic Consultation, but it's a similar card. The Demonic Consultation can find the Underworld Breach, and then when you have the Underworld Breach can recast the Demonic Consultation and find the Thassa's Oracle, and then you can use it to find itself. So I think that's part of what makes such a good card.
And it's never in the top 6. Whatever you want,
Never in the top 6.
Never
Yeah.
ever.
And I do, honestly, I stand by the value consult. If you've mulliganed low enough, I had a game recently on the channel where I mulliganed to 3.
I was just thinking about this game, yeah.
And I Demonic Consultation for Mystic Ramora, and I won the game somehow, right? Or it's like, there are situations where like sometimes your odds of winning are so low that just like consulting for Mystic Ramora is your only shot, and it can sometimes get you there. Very flexible card. I give it like a 4.5, 6, well, I don't know. 4.
I don't think you breathed in enough to be confident about that number.
I really want to make sure everyone is understanding that I was thinking. I'm going to give it a 4.7. 4.7.
You know, we're live. We can do things like this to make it look like we're thinking
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Normally you
too.
cut out this when we're thinking, when we have to manually think
That's
like
true.
this.
I always cut out our thinking, which means that there's never a lot of cutting out to do.
So just so I'm oriented here,
Yeah.
5s were like the Soul Rings and Mox Diamonds.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
4s were like the Chain of Vapors and like almost auto includes.
Almost auto includes.
Okay.
Maybe it's closer to 4.
Then this is like a 4.2 for me.
4.2. You might be right. Maybe 4.7.
No one talked about how
I was talking about how it was so bad, and then I give it a 4.7. So I don't
no
know.
one talked about how you name food chain with it, and then you exile your food chain piece on the way to find food chain. And then you
That
win the
is
game
very
with
cool.
it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's
Demonic
crazy.
Consultation's a 4.5 for me.
4.5 for you. Yeah, 4.7,
Especially because
4.2,
we're
and
going
then 4.5.
historically, even like way before Thassa's Oracle, we had Laboratory
good.
Maniac,
Yeah.
and you could still like do the same thing with Lab Man. It was just a little bit more interactive, but it was still one of the best things that you could do in cEDH.
Even in the olden days, right? The Demonic Consultation was used in like Necropotence 1v1 decks. Where
way
you would
back
just,
when like Vine was around. Yeah.
I think even before Vine.
Even before Vine?
And Jace, don't forget, Jace, do you remember we used to cast a 4-mana Planeswalker to try and win the game?
Oh yeah,
That
Jason.
one came out after Labman, though.
Oh,
It
yeah,
did,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was better than Labman. I remember being exciting about it for like there was like a month or two period before it was like it existed without Thassa's Oracle, and I was like, oh, this card's great. Like, oh, no, it's not.
Boy.
That's not even on our list. Okay, should we
What
talk about
sweet
number 4?
summer children we were.
Yeah.
Let's go on to our next card. This is called Relic of Legends. This is
Sisei card.
A Sisei
Nice.
card, yeah. Nice. This room really likes this card. This is a 3-mana artifact that taps to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, but it also lets you tap an untapped creature you control to. It has to be legendary creature.
Sisei card,
Because it's a relic of legends.
It says it reading
It's
the
right,
card.
it's
Yeah,
right in the name, guys.
Oh, what? Reading the card explains the card? Yeah, so that you can tap an untapped legend to make a mana of any color.
Yep.
And if you tap Kinnan, you only make 1 mana and not 2.
Yeah, you stole Tyler's whole thing. That you were gonna say
Yeah,
about this
immediately the most upsetting thing to me, of course, is that it
Now we
somehow
can move
doesn't work
on.
with
card.
Kinnan.
It somehow, unfortunately, doesn't work with Kinnan. I want
Yeah.
to talk about this card. It's a Sisei card. It's really just more mana for Sisei, but it's like perfect for Sisei. It makes a lot of the lines a lot easier in a lot of ways. You can do them a lot shorter because if you use Sisei to go search for a legendary creature, then you only need 4 additional mana plus the creature that you just got to activate Sisei again and go find something else. So this is one that like isn't exactly a combo piece in Sisei, but when it's out, it sometimes feels like a combo piece because it makes all of your lines just like a lot shorter, a lot more concise, and then it also just does exactly what you want to do in Sisei, which is just like dump your hand onto the board and make a whole bunch of mana. So I love this. Dump it. I love this card, but this is firmly, I think this is like a solid 3, even though I love this card because this really only goes in like one deck, right?
No.
But
You
that's
think it's
not,
worse
what,
than
that's
that?
not what 3s
There
are
are
anymore.
more
We
decks?
changed that up. Now
okay.
2s is that.
No, I thought 3s was still.
No,
it's a
that's what I said it was originally, and then we changed it up.
Wait, what did I say 3 was?
You said 3 was like a displacer kitten, like something that
Okay.
goes in a couple of different decks,
So maybe,
which I guess.
but I think Tyler's about to say that I'm right in that it does go in a couple of different decks.
Okay, first of all, it does. Second of all, if you guys remember what the rating skill actually was, we're gonna need to know that. Except you weren't listening. We know that. But okay,
It does go in more decks. Yes,
so,
tell.
Rog Thras and Dog Thras are both running these. And if you don't know what I mean by those, that's Rograk and Thrasios, which is a Gaia's Cradle deck that tries to put out a lot of small creatures and win with weird Gaia's Cradle lands, basically. And also Dog Thras, which is Yoshimaru and Thrasios doing effectively the same game plan.
Which I just put together, actually.
Yoshimaru's a
It's great.
dog.
So much
such a
fun.
good deck.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yoshimaru's a dog.
Yoshimaru is a dog. Good job, Ken.
Just because in case someone was confused about where the dog came from.
No, that's a
yeah,
good point.
yeah.
I sure didn't
Yoshimaru's
explain
a
it.
dog.
Yeah, Yoshimaru's a dog.
But in both of those decks, you're usually going to play your commanders relatively early because they add to your value plan with Gaia's Cradle. And if you're planning on playing your commanders early anyway, then a lot of times this comes down as an artifact for 3 that can then immediately tap for itself +1 with Rograk or Yoshimaru. So it taps for 2 and then continues to tap on future turns. If you get Thras out, that's yet another mana. So it just has a lot of mana potential in the longer run if you're going to be playing multiple legendary creatures. So decks that do that are good for this card, and that's like Sisay in those 2 decks.
Dargo.
basically.
This is a Dargo card. You sack Dargo, and then it just makes the 1 red mana
I
that you
haven't
need to
seen
cast
Dargo in a while,
Dargo again.
but yes,
Yo,
Dargo
Dargo's
card.
making a comeback.
I think
Dargo
you're right.
Timna in particular, I think is making a comeback. We
I've
have a
been thinking
patron
about
that
it.
added it to our queue of decks to play, so that I know is coming up.
I honestly, this is, I think when we mentioned all those things that got a lot worse when Dockside left the format, although that was true, I think all of those decks are still really good. I think they lost a lot less than we initially thought that they were going to lose.
Yeah, no, the Dockside ban did nothing to cEDH as far as I'm concerned
Okay, no, so
for the most part
it
now.
didn't. I think it did
don't know about
something,
that.
but it didn't. It didn't make certain decks unplayable and certain decks really good. I think what it did is just shifted slightly what decks were good because now the format is just is a little bit slower. It's like a turn slower without Dockside and Jewel Lotus and Mana Crypt and stuff. So I think that's what it did. It just didn't make certain decks like unplayable. Like I thought Sisay was done, and now I'm back on Sisay.
I thought
and it feels
Atali
great.
was done, and
right.
now look at me.
And it's like, yeah. Now look at you.
I'm on cloud 9 every day.
So we're like, I think I am still, with my current live definition of the 1 through 5 scale that we created, I think it is a 3 because it goes firmly in a couple of decks. Although, I'm not playing it in Yoshi Thras. Maybe I should be. My list might be a little wrong. I think I'm wrong. Okay. But I'm still going to give it a firm 3.
I'm going to give it a 3.3.
Okay?
I'm going to give it a 3.7259.
No.
725.
No.
3.7259. I already
And
wrote
we're
down.
not doing
I wrote
any
down.
takebacks.
And
we
we're
can't
no
take anything back.
takebacks.
So that's what it is. So Dylan, what does that average out to?
So the 3 ratings are 3, 3.3, and 3.7259. So that's probably 3.5-ish.
Okay, 3.5-ish. Okay. Now, what is our list so far?
Yes, very nice.
But I need them in order, please.
In order that we've talked about them, Armageddon at a 0.
No, that's not the order I wanted. I wanted
the height. Oh,
the
sure.
rank. Obviously, I want the ranking
height?
order. The height.
length,
Yes.
which
I
one?
would like the height and the girth of all of
Which of these cards is the tallest?
Yeah. Okay, so Demonic Consultation is at the highest. It's the tallest. It's 4.7.
Tallest. Yep. It can
yeah,
ride
so-
all the roller coasters
Yeah,
here
Demonic
in Vegas.
Consultation's first, and then I think Relic of Legends is next at like 3.5-ish, and then Nagila is at like a little bit less than that, and then Armageddon.
My favorite part about this is that you are going to realize how hard it actually is to keep track of all of this throughout the course of the podcast, and there's going to be a little bit more empathy coming my way when I mess things up in the future.
Fair enough.
Okay,
All
should we
right.
talk about number 5?
No, I want to give something away.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah. Nice. All right. First thing I want to give away is this pack of samurai sleeves from Dragon Shield, because these are super dope. And how are we going to give them away?
I feel like to our friend over here who needed some help with the historical,
yeah,
right?
you need a lot of help. So yeah,
Just
let me,
please.
let me give you this pack of sleeves.
There you go.
Today.
That'll make
That was a good
him
call,
feel
yeah.
better about us razzing him. Sorry.
There you go.
about that.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you let us make fun of you relentlessly,
You might get something.
yeah. All right.
Okay, cool.
All
Now
right,
we're
now
talking
I'm
about
okay
5.
talking about the next card. The next card is Deflecting SWAT. Ooh. This is an instant.
We found something new of this card recently.
We did. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that
this
you can
is.
target anything?
You can target anything. You can target a spell. Oh, you give it away.
I ruined his thing. So back it up. All right, so Deflecting SWAT is 2 and a red, and it says that you can cast it for free if you control a commander. It doesn't have to be yours. And you can change the target of target spell or ability to whatever you want.
You may choose new targets for spell or ability, but even if a spell doesn't naturally have a target, you may still say, I will change its targets. And that normally is irrelevant, but sometimes if you need to just cast a spell for Displacer Kitten or whatever, it can be a spell that you are allowed to cast and it doesn't need to have that target, which we just learned and made your Atali win much easier or something, right?
Yeah, so if you guys were here for the Scrybabies live episode yesterday, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And should I talk more about it, or should I just say you should
enough.
go
I think
check?
that-
Okay, that was great. Yeah, that was great. Okay.
This is like the other card that I think you play in Kitten, the 2-mana artifact, the 0/4. Do you know what I speak of? The creature that you can redirect?
Yeah.
Spellskite?
Spellskite. This is for the same reason that Spellskite can pay 2 life to target something that doesn't have a target. This is a similar thing.
I think just to make sure we're being clear, we do still have to have a spell or ability that is on the stack that you can target.
Oh, yeah.
You
You can't
don't
just, like,
have to
cast
change it to something.
Right.
And this
void.
also comes up a lot in another deck that I play, which is Timna Quirk, because in Timna Quirk, sometimes, actually pretty often, you just want to cast a spell so that you can make treasures with Tavern Scoundrel.
It doesn't matter what it does. You just want to
It
cast a
doesn't matter
spell
what it
over
does.
and over
I don't care
again,
if it
right?
does nothing.
Oh
I just want to cast a spell over and over
It would be better if it did nothing, because then you wouldn't need a target.
Genuinely would be better, yeah.
Ooh, that's funny. How good do you think that spell would be? 0 mana, and it was just a spell. It was just an instant. It did nothing. It was just a 0 mana instant.
This is a spell. That's all it says. This
very
is a
good.
spell.
You don't think it would be good enough?
The only text on it
But
is
if I
you
get
may
a card
cast
deck,
this
you just want to
card.
cast it over and over again. Is it still not good enough?
Unless it says it returns to your hand, but which it
okay.
certainly could not. That would be a busted card.
So
like,
if the
then
card
it's
was,
too good.
if it didn't do anything, it was just said this card returns to your hand. Oh, that's just like Infinite Storm. That's kind of boring. That's not even good. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You only get Infinite Storm.
We'll
anyway,
revisit that later. We'll
Anyway,
revisit that
I
idea
cast
later.
Grape Shot.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be
Deflecting
great.
Swat. I think this card is really good. I think this is very close to at the high ends of 4 point something. for
4
me.
point. How many 9s can you put on that paper?
I will give you 4.9, and then with the line over top of it
the
represents
repeating,
infinite,
the
right?
repeating symbol.
I'll
Yeah,
give
that
that
sounds
to you.
great.
Which I think
that is the
according
maximum number
I
of
think that's
nines.
called an umlaut.
that's a
It is
fun
not
word.
called an umlaut.
No, that's a different thing.
No, that is a German language symbol. Oh my God. Though I actually don't remember what that is called. Does anyone know?
The infinite sign on top. Does anyone know any math people? What? Bar. That. All right. That's
Wow.
boring.
Okay.
Bar.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, I love bars. Like, I'm good with
I
that.
know the word bar.
So you're giving it a 4.999. I think this goes in every deck that you're playing red, and your commander is like, I want to say like 1, 2, or 3 mana, but realistically, if it's 4 or 5,
I see a lot of commanders that are like 5 mana that also play.
Right?
I mean,
Depends.
Atali plays Deflecting
Do you play
Swat.
as well? Yeah, okay, so yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Dargo, you probably like. would
Dargo,
still
you
play
play
it,
it.
but,
Yeah.
like, I
What's a
don't know-
deck you wouldn't play it in?
Okay, so I think a deck you wouldn't play it in is like if you're playing like Crom Kodama or something, where like you
Sure,
have
sure,
red,
okay.
but your commanders are.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But there are very few. So
There are
yeah,
very
I'm-
few, yeah.
I'm up
Pour
there
one out
too.
for all the Crom
Are you giving
Kodama
also a
players out there.
4.999 with the bar?
No, but I think I'll give it a 4.8. I think that's
4.9.
pretty
I'm gonna give
reasonable.
4.9 just to make it a little bit easier.
All right, that sounds good.
This is still probably the best card that we've talked about, I think, though.
Well, I think this is going to change really quickly. Yeah, because the next card is Mystic Ramora.
Oh, the best card in the format, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
really. Is this the best card in the format, or is another card better?
You're looking at the whole
No,
list?
We're not going to talk about the other card. I want to make sure we're not going to spoil that. Is Rhystic Study or Mystic Ramora better?
That's such a great question. So first, we should say what Mystic Ramora does.
You're right. So this is a blue mana enchantment that has cumulative upkeep, which, by the way, I've learned how to pronounce that word now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know. I've come a long way. Thank I know, literate Cam. This is a new Cam coming at you for 2025. But only the second
halfway done
half.
with the year.
Only the second half,
Second
yeah.
half of the year.
It really, upkeep, yeah. So that means that every upkeep of yours, you have to pay 1 and then an additional 1 on the next upkeep and then an additional 1 on the next upkeep, right? We all get that.
Yep.
So it also lets you draw a card whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell if they don't pay 4 mana.
4 mana is so much.
4 mana is too much,
Too
arguably.
much. No one can really ever pay.
No.
Except for some of the Gaia's Cradle decks. Gradle. Has anyone done that yet?
Gradle?
Has anyone done that?
Is it
Gradle?
made out of clay?
Oh, Gradle.
Yeah.
Okay. Mystic Ramora. Thanks. I feel like I was talking a bunch of the last one, but the format-defining card, what do you have to say about Mystic Ramora?
Mystic Ramora is incredible. I particularly love it because Kinnan is one of the decks that makes the best use of Mystic
forever,
Ramora.
yeah.
Because really your ideal scenario with Mystic Ramora is that you can keep it around for like basically the whole game.
Yeah.
And if you get a very early Kinnan, or God forbid, if you get to play Kinnan and play Mystic Ramora both on turn 1, that Mystic Remora is never leaving.
Never.
You just keep it for the entire game.
Yeah.
And when you have those kinds of games, I think it is better than Rhystic Study.
Yeah.
But the cumulative upkeep, if you're not in a deck that is able to outpace all of your opponents on mana relatively easily, does really add up, and you're not going to be able to hold it for that much of the game. So I think usually your best case scenario with Mystic Remora is you hope that I'm going to play it for 1, probably on turn 1. I'm going to draw maybe 1 or 2 cards from my opponent's playing stuff, but it's also going to like chill their turns out. They're not going to be taking really explosive turn 1s, and so you're kind of buying yourself some time to try and get ahead.
Yeah.
Unless you play against the Tali.
Unless you play
Yeah,
Tali,
yeah.
yeah. And I feel like the issue with the Mystic Ramora is, though, you have to draw that mana to keep going. Like, you have to kind of draw a specific thing, because there can be games where you kind of, like, get locked up in your Mystic Ramora, and you're just like, all you have for your turn 2 is a second land, and you pay to keep the Mystic Ramora around, and you can't develop more. So every turn, all you're doing is, like, drawing a bunch of cards, going to discard, and, like, not doing anything with it. So you kind of have to find that, like, other aspect, whereas I feel like Rhystic Study, its most common, like, comparison, you don't need that mana. You just need the Rhystic in play, and then once it's there, you're gonna be able to do stuff with the cards, right?
Both kind of require you to have either Soul Ring or Ancient Tomb on turn 2.
Yeah.
Whereas Rhystic Study wants you to have one of those cards before you cast Rhystic Study.
Right.
Mystic Ramora is okay with you having them for turn 2, where you pay to keep fish around, and then like your land's Ancient Tomb, or your next mana casts the Soul Ring or something like that.
And like weirdly, like Mental Misstep is also a card that like it can hit Mystic Ramora, not Rhystic. That really doesn't super matter, but there's just like one more little piece of something that does something about fish, and people are very excited to Mystic Ramora People are very excited to Mental Misstep a Mystic Ramora. They want to do that. They'll do that right away. But if they have to, like, Fierce Guardianship or Rhystic Study or something like that, I feel like they're a little bit more timid to do it, right? Because, like, when the target is so easy, like, what else is Misstep for? But when for Fierce Guardianship, it can hit anything. It's a little scary to hit the Rhystic Study when you know someone can just slam down an Underworld Breach the next turn, right?
Yeah, you'd rather hit the win condition.
So, like, Mystic Ramora almost feels a little bit scarier, I feel like, because that reason gets a little easier to hit. But it also, Rhystic Study allows different type of players to manipulate. Like a creature deck can play around the Rhystic Study, whereas a non-creature deck can't really do anything into a Mystic Ramora. Sorry, a creature deck can play around Mystic Ramora, is what I meant. You can just keep on playing your spells while the other decks don't. All that to say, Mystic Ramora is still like 5, right?
There's one more thing I think is really important to say about Mystic Ramora. I think this is a card that scales really, really well with how well you know the format and what the pod composition is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know if the decks that you're facing are likely to actually play a bunch of non-creature spells, you don't really know how good this card is in your hand at the minute. Because if you're facing, 2 Rockos and a Winota, and you like play a Mystic Ramora on turn 1, they're like, I don't care. Like, this doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But if you're facing 3 like Rog size that are all trying to have huge explosive plays, it becomes much better.
Yes.
So it is very swingy depending on context, and I think it's hard to play it effectively and know when to keep it in an opening hand without knowing the meta.
What was that pod that you said? 2 Winotos and a Rocco?
What a
2 Rockos and a Winota.
Oh my god.
2 Rockos. Oh,
Yeah, no one survived one of those and continued to play CEDH.
No.
I can tell you that.
That's true. Yeah.
Is there a deck that doesn't play Mystic Ramora? Is there a single deck in CEDH that says no, I don't want that effect?
Not correctly.
I don't think it's
I
right.
don't think
right?
so.
So a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
5 out of
Yeah,
5?
best card we've talked about so far.
I think so. I mean, I think it's
You're not gonna give this card a 5?
I think it's about the same as Deflecting Sweat. I really evaluate it about the same.
Interesting.
You
Okay.
just said no one likes Mystic Ramora more than me.
And wrong. I like it more than you.
In Kinnan, sure. In Kinnan, I will evaluate it
It's
at
a
a
5.
5. All right,
It averages out to a 5.
It's a 5.
Fine.
It's
It's
a
a
best.
5.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right.
It's the
All
best.
right.
I think it's the best spell in our format. Yeah.
All right, our next card is called Thermal Flux.
I don't know what that card
I've
does.
never heard of this
Oh,
card.
wow, okay.
I'm gonna guess what it
It's
does.
got to be a
You all look it up
blue
too.
or red.
I'm not going to
All
read
right,
it to you.
yeah. So this is 1 a blue and a red
Is that what it is?
for
making it up?
instant, and it says.
Oh, we're guessing. Okay.
It says flux, like a flux capacitor.
Oh, flux.
One.
Okay, no, I have it. I can say it. Do you want me to?
No, I guess.
All right, yeah, it's a blue instant. It says choose one. Target non-snow permanent becomes snow
God,
until end of
wait.
turn, or target snow permanent isn't snow until end of turn. Draw a card at the beginning of the next upkeep. The next turn's upkeep. So not even if you take an extra turn or your opponent's an extra turn. This is this what's that blue commander? That was-
Orvar.
This is an Orvar card.
This is only an
Target
Orvar card.
non-snow
It
permanent.
targets a permanent.
Well, because who else is playing like the worst Mishra's Bobble you've ever seen?
Yeah,
Like, there's no other.
It
deck.
just
really.
target non-snow permanent becomes snow. It does.
Yeah.
It just says this is as close as we can get to target permanent, right? This is just for a blue target permanent.
Yeah, yeah.
Having
That's
the
kinda what it
words
does.
snow permanent next to each other is so confusing because are you targeting a permanent or are you targeting snow permanent?
Snow permanent.
Oh God, man. See, what I like about this is now that I know I can't make that joke on the
real
podcast
podcast, no one's
now.
gonna
Yeah,
like that one.
I will edit that one out.
Thermal
Next
flux.
turn.
Yeah, this goes in one deck in a deck that I'm so sorry. Wait, any Orvar pilots? Great. Orvar.
Whoa, way in the
We got
back.
one?
Wait, we
Get
got
out
one
of
way in the
here.
back.
Okay. How do you-
Nice.
Orvar pilot.
Orvar pilots.
Nice.
Orvar pilot, you get a pack of clear inner sleeves from Dragon Shield for playing Orvar. Come on up. Yeah, let's get this. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for playing Orvar.
Wait, hold
nice
on.
meeting you.
Wait,
yes.
can you come here for a
Thank
second?
you for
Wait,
running
come
it
here,
too.
come here.
Yeah.
Do you play Thermal Flux in your Orvar deck?
I do, in fact, play Thermal Flux.
No.
Oh, look at Good guess. All right. Nice. Thank you so much. What was your name?
I'm Jerome.
Everyone give Jerome a big round of applause. Nice. All right. That
So
was great.
is that a 1? It firmly sees play in a deck.
That's a 2, right?
It's a
It's a
2?
2 because, yeah.
Oh no.
It's a 2?
What did I give it to? I don't even
Fellas.
remember. I don't even remember what a 2 was now.
You were so
two's-
confident in the beginning when you explained the ratings.
That's how my life is. I'm always very confident. I know what I'm talking about. Though.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a solid 2.
It's clearly seen play in cEDH, so we have to give it a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 1.7, and it would be lower, except that I
sounds good.
love that its effect is just snow. Like, oh my god.
It's
That's
a cool
so funny.
card. Yeah.
Was this a Mormir Vig hackball card? Like, could I change the
Oh.
word snow into like something? Target
no.
permanent becomes legendary instead, or do
Beats
all the
me.
hack cards make me change a color into something else?
Most of them are normally color changers because that's what you want to do. Is you want to change the color in Hackball because that whether it's blue or green gives you a different thing.
And hackball probably doesn't want to draw a card at the beginning of the next turn. Is
I
that
don't
key?
think so.
What are you trying to achieve? Do you just want snow elves? Like, what are we
Snow
doing here?
elves, yeah. I want to bring the Skyrim DLC to life. Yes.
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
What did you give this card? 2, 1.7. Do you have a rating for it?
I give it a 2, yeah,
2,
because it's
okay.
used play in
Yeah.
cEDH, yeah.
Cool.
Cool, okay. Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow.
Oh, okay.
This is an awesome card. Yes, this is a blue and a black, but
So far, so good.
you'll never cast it for that. She's a legendary human ninja, and whenever a ninja deals combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library, and then each opponent loses life equal to the mana value of that card, and you can commander ninjutsu her into play for a blue and a black, and she's a 1/3, and I don't know the artist or her number. Her
But you
serial
got it.
number or-
But you
only
got
thing
so
that was,
much,
That was
Cameron.
basically right. It's not a may. Her trigger must flip the
Oh,
top
it's a
card.
must?
It's a may.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think you were just saying what the card does. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is must do that thing no matter what.
Okay, that's good to know. It's a
Yes,
must.
Yuriko is, I think, famously one of like the most. I don't want to say like flawed design-wise cards, but I know Gavin has spoken about how this card was maybe a little bit of a mistake and shouldn't have been able to commander ninjutsu in over and over again. Yuriko is a blast, and one of the commanders that I normally suggest to people when they're asking for, I want to get into cEDH and what's a good intro-friendly card, I think of Yuriko and I think of that because it does what Magic decks do, which is just attack and play Magic
Yeah.
cards and,
And
stuff like
most
that.
of the time, I have a hard time distinguishing the cEDH Yuriko decks from the casual Yuriko decks.
They're like,
that I come
yeah,
across
they're
in
like
the
4 or
wild.
5 cards off normally. Right?
Normally, it's just like, oh, you're not playing Mox Diamonds. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
instead of Thoracle Consultation, there's like an extra land and an extra turn spell, and then
And like one more 3-mana ninja instead.
and that's the casual deck. And this is a good example of a card that like I feel like Yuriko kind of dominates bracket 4. Now, this is from a cEDH player that doesn't play a ton of bracket 4, but I'm kind of just assuming that Yuriko is very good and popular in bracket 4. Whereas when it comes to cEDH, it's not bad, but it's not in the top of meta games, right? It's
I
like-
thought it would be after the Dockside ban,
so
and
too.
after the Crypt ban, and after the Jeweled Lotus ban,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really
use some of those
care
cards.
about any of those cards, right?
Yeah.
But it's turned out, and I think there was a little bit of validity. I think there was a little bit of validity.
Yes, 100%. And it has,
To that.
I do see it in top 16s. It does show
Yeah.
up, but it's not like a tier 1 deck. It's like a firm tier 2 deck, I feel like.
I
right?
would say so, yeah.
I think so, and I think a lot of the reason for that is its game plan, which it's pretty good at, of making your
Yeah.
opponents lose life until they're dead.
Yeah.
Like, that takes time.
Yeah.
And most decks that need to take time run a lot of stacks pieces, and Yuriko doesn't really want to run a lot of stacks
Right.
pieces either.
It's kind of
Some
fair.
builds do,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty fair deck.
Yeah.
Great for beginners. You don't really have to know what your opponent's decks are doing to kill them, like, which is cool.
And the best part about it is you don't have to know when the good time to push is, because like that is a tricky thing in cEDH. Is like, when is it okay for me to go for a win? Like I can go on turn 3, but all of my opponents left up with a bunch of blue mana. It's hard for me to tell when I should go for it. Yuriko doesn't really need to go for it.
She's always
just keep
pushing.
attacking. Yeah,
Just
always
keep
push. Hold up
pushing.
counter magic. Just keep pushing. Yeah, just keep pushing. Are you a DJ or
Just
attacking?
keep pushing, just keep pushing.
Yeah.
So I think Yuriko is great, but it's just a little bit fair, and it is like a commander that I truly love. I played the deck for a while, but I almost put it together recently. I got like 95 of the cards together, and I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't finish it. I didn't have
I've
the
lost
drive to finish
count
it for
as to
some
how
reason.
many decks you've done that with.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah. I have.
Tyam's the most recent
Ty-
victim of this now.
I have 97 cards of Tyam put together, ready to go, and I don't want to finish it. I don't know why. It's just, I just can't bring myself to finish it. But Yuriko, I still think Yuriko is great. Is it? Have we talked about other commanders? So Nagila, we gave like a 2.7-ish. I think Yuriko is around the same area that Nagila is, probably.
I'm going to give Yuriko a 3 personally.
3, okay, 3. I think It has card advantage, so for that reason, I think it's better than Nagila because I almost always like card. Well, that's not true because I like Sisei, and Sisei has no card advantage, and it really just kind of does the Nagila thing. I'm gonna give it a 2.6. 2.6 for me. I still think Yuriko is really good, but its fairness is just not what I want to be doing in cEDH. Every time I watch one of my friends wins games of cEDH, it's like Cam, he's like doing 1,000 Atali things, or you're doing 1,000 Kinnan things, and Yuriko is just like, attack. Attack.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not my playstyle right now.
It's very telegraphed what you're doing. Like, you can't hide what you're doing in Yuriko.
Right, yeah.
Which is weird, because they're ninjas. I feel like they should be good at hiding.
They should be good at hiding.
But it's actually,
You're
that's
right,
actually a
they know my
flavor fail.
gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows my thing.
Wow,
Okay.
yeah.
So you give it a 3, 2.6. What do you have for Yuriko?
I'm going to go 2.
Great.
Regular 2.
Great, it's a 2. Just a 2. Wow, kind of low. Okay.
I do think Nagila is better, to be honest, but
Okay.
I just like Yuriko better, and
Yeah.
I'm feeling capricious.
Oh, capricious is a fun word. What does capricious mean?
Like a Capri Sun.
Like a Capri Sun.
Yep.
Ready to be punctured, full of liquid. Wow.
Yeah.
Capricious. That's what it is.
Stick a straw in me, fellas.
All right. Life of the Loam is our next card.
Oh, cool card.
Do you
What
mean
a
life
cool card.
from the loam?
No,
An
Life
actual
of
magic?
the
No, this is a
Loam.
new card,
Yeah,
actually,
this is a
Life
new
of the
card.
Loam.
Yeah, it's going to
Okay.
be from the Blind Eternity set, and it's 2 colorless, and it does the same thing.
I have it pulled up here. Would you like me to read it?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm going to do my thing.
Give it to
remember?
her. Life from the Loam. What does it do?
1 in a green, so that you can return 3 lands from your graveyard to your hand, and it has Dredge 3.
That's true. It's 3 target lands. You must target the lands on the cast. But yes,
I keep
you're right.
missing like
little
the
little
stupidest
words,
little
but
words.
theoretically, it could be return 3
I'm
lands.
so
and there's no
frustrated. I'm
targets,
going to
right?
go cry after this.
Life from the Loam is one of my favorite casual cards. For casual commander,
Yeah.
I have it in 2 casual decks, which is huge because I don't repeat cards in casual very often, but this is like one of the few that I would be willing to repeat because it's so good. I love the dredge, getting the land backs, hitting my land drops in casual is my favorite thing to do. I just want to hit my land drop every turn for forever, and this helps with that. But it doesn't do fun. I mean, Gitrog isn't really great right now. Is that the big issue?
Gitrog is not great right
Well,
now. That's
I
the
think
biggest
Sorry,
issue.
any Gitrog players? Sorry. Oh, okay, there's a few. of you.
You know what? They have way more hype than anyone else we've talked to so far. So we.
There's a playback.
nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Life from the Loam's good in Gitrog, right? Yeah. All right, we
there
know
we
that's
go.
true.
Cameron, do you know the other 2? We got 3 decks that Life from the Loam is good
Oh,
in. Do you know the
that
other
are
2?
cEDH decks that are real?
Yeah.
You sure? Oh, all right.
Oh,
Corvold. No one say the third one though.
Oh, then
That's
we have
4.
4.
Oh no, we have
There's
2
4.
more.
Okay, all right,
What
let
are
me
the
guess,
life?
let me guess.
The new one, the bear. Lumra.
I said Cameron. What
Oh,
are you
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Cameron,
I'm
answer.
gonna
you
guess
can name
Lumra.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Good
that's
job,
right, that's
Cameron.
right,
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so Corvold, Gitrog,
who else?
Lumra, and then Tyler has one more.
Grolnok, your frog guy that you liked when he came out.
No, that's not a real cEDH deck. No,
Is
no,
it
no.
the new one we talked about?
The
with the
new one, the
glasses?
Wandering Minstrel.
The Wandering Minstrel.
Yeah.
What does this card do for there?
Oh.
Is it?
Yeah. What does this
The
card do for
Wandering
that deck?
Minstrel?
No. Why with Life from the Loam?
Oh, why with Life from the?
Yeah.
Because Wandering Minstrel is also a land combo deck, and it is almost always using Lumra as a backup plan, sometimes even Gitrog,
Yeah.
and doing some of the same things. So
You're really doing Towns things with the Wandering Minstrel?
No.
no, you don't care
Gitrog
about
and Lumra, not
towns.
towns. Frogs and bears.
It's because the lands come in untapped. So usually you're trying to win with Aftermath Analyst and some combination of the Shifting Woodlands. Is that
Shifting
what it's
Woodlands becomes a copy of,
Oh,
or I've
the
seen a couple
Aftermath
other
Analyst,
things.
yeah.
What's the land that when it comes in it sacrifices something and it taps for 3 or whatever?
Lotus Field.
Lotus
Yeah,
Field.
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
some things with Lotus Field being good.
called? Yeah, these are all excellent. And Life from the Loam definitely sees play in Wandering Minstrel. Maybe not every version of the list,
Yeah.
but a lot of them are just interested in filling the graveyard because it's going to work well with those plans, with the Aftermath Analyst
Yeah.
plan, and so on and so forth. So you want to be able to dredge, and often you want to be able to get your lands back in the
Interesting.
graveyard.
I wonder if we're going to be going towards a world where land stuff is a little bit better in cEDH. Because recently I've been feeling we've been going towards a world where Simic, we talked about at the beginning a little bit, the Derevi, the banned shell is really good. This blue-green shell is really good.
Now that we found that Ouroboros Breeze Caller exists. and-
Right, which is
By the
so
way, I
insane.
saw someone with an artist proof of that this week, and I'm like, that artist has been sitting on that proof for a long time,
yeah, it's
and is
so
so
good
happy
now.
all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that I feel like we're getting a little bit of push with the Wandering Minstrel and with Lumra of like these cards that fit a strategy of casual commander that hasn't really been represented in cEDH. Like this land strategy, Tatyova, is cool, but hasn't really done anything. And now I feel like we have some things that like represent what commander is to most people, which is that Blue-green is really good.
Yeah.
And in cEDH, that hasn't always been like yes. It hasn't always been exactly true, but I feel like recently, blue-green it gives Grixis like a pretty good run for the money of like the best shell, right?
And we've been getting a lot of land stuff. Like there was
Yeah,
a big
a
lands
lot of
push
lands.
in the Final Fantasy set, and just from the very small amount of things that we've seen from the Edge of Eternity set already, like isn't there like some land stuff that's going on with that too? Like creatures that do stuff with lands. Like
I know
this
there's
creature
shock lands.
The shock lands are coming
But,
back, but
yeah.
like there was also some creatures that I think we saw already that say like this thing has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control or something
I
like
didn't
that.
see that.
So
That sounds
I
awesome.
have a hunch. I mean, we just got these spoilers yesterday, and I was busy doing other stuff and not
Yeah.
looking at
What were
my
you doing?
phone, not playing a jousting game on my phone.
Not doing that.
So instead, like I could see this card becoming more as we continue to explore more with lands in these upcoming sets. However, we're keeping an eye on this stuff like historically too. Right. So like historically, Gitrog has really only been the deck that was playing this for the longest amount of time.
Except for the recent ones.
Yeah, these recent ones. So I want to give Life from the Loam a 1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
1.5 feels low.
Yeah.
1.5. Okay.
1.5 is low.
Did we not give the thermal flux card more than that?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
okay, we did. We can't
Thermal
trust
Flux says draw a card on it.
Thermal
And this
Flux
puts
does-
lands in your hand?
Draws 3. It's Ancestral Recall.
But
It's
it's
Ancestral
3
Recall.
lands. It's so bad. I don't want to draw 3 lands. You
I'm
draw
gonna give
3
this-
lands and you go, this sucks. I
Yeah.
wish I had a different life.
I'm gonna
Dear.
not one of the loan.
yeah, not one of the loans. You're right.
I'm gonna give this one a 2. I think it's a firm 2.
Yeah.
Put Paseju back in your hand.
Paseju.
Go with Paseju, yeah.
I'm gonna
that's
say
not good
2.2.
enough.
I wanted a little
2.2.
above 2.
2.2.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 2.2. Never gonna look at these numbers again anyway. What's
Here's
number
one.
10 on our list?
This card is a reference to Naruto, and those of you who
What?
already know. Talon Gates of Madara.
No, it's not. Is it?
Is it?
Yeah, because Madara is a character in Naruto. He's like one of the big bads in Naruto.
Isn't it from the Lord of the Rings set though?
Who? No.
Talon
Gates?
Madara? Where is Nicobolus lore, apparently.
Nicobolus lore, yeah.
And also
I
the
don't
thing
know
that you said.
anything.
I don't know anything.
Oh,
Which
boy.
is why I think the Universes Beyond stuff is kind of fun for me, because I don't know anything about Magic lore, and I don't know anything about Universes Beyond stuff either. So it's all, Final Fantasy is just as new to me as anything that they make up from the other stuff, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
What is this card? What do you...
So Talon Gates of Madara
Yeah, what does
is
it do, do you
a
think?
colorless land. So it does 3 things, really. It can tap for colorless mana. Well, it does 4 things, actually. No, 3. Yeah. When it enters the battlefield, you can phase out a creature.
One thing.
One creature. Well, that's the first thing that it does.
Yep.
It does more. The second thing that it does is tap for colorless mana.
That's 2 things.
And then the third thing that it does is for a generic mana, you can tap it so that you can make a mana of any color.
3 things that it does, and obviously the most important things were those 3 things.
And the fourth thing is that for 4 mana, you can put it into play from your hand.
I was saying a joke, because that's the most important thing that it does.
That is the most important thing.
Oh yeah.
Talon Gates. I have recently, like I just briefly mentioned, put together Yoshimaru Thrasios, which is a Gaia's Cradle deck. And Gaia's Cradle, along with 6 creatures in play and Oboro Breezecaller, a card that says for 2 mana you can return a land to your play and untap target land, allows you to, with Talon Gates, create infinite mana, phase out your opponent's creatures, and then draw your whole deck with Thrasios and win any way that you'd like to. There are other things that you can do with Talon Gates. It's obviously just like very difficult to interact with spot removal. If you need to, for 4 mana, phase out a Kiki-Jiki target or whatever. It can help you with that.
Or even for 1 mana, cast your crop rotation and then go find it. Like it's a classic crop rotation package card for me now in a lot of decks.
Yeah, and I think it's been great. I mean, this is the first land that we have seen that has an ability that says you can just put it from your hand right into play, which is what made Oboro Breezecrawler really good.
Yep.
No other land has ever done that for some reason. And I think the coolest thing about this card...
cracked, that's why.
Because it's incredibly broken. But I think the coolest thing about this card is when you activate that ability, it's still in your hand. You're like, it's not going onto the stack. The land still is in your hand. So if you have 8 mana and you spend 4 of it to activate Talon Gates of Madara and your opponent does something to try to stop you, you can, in response, activate Talon Gates of Madara again with 4 more mana and put it into your hand. It's not like, it's not an enters thing, you know what I mean? It's just like you activate it and you show that your opponent that you have it, which also, that feels weird to me. And
That's just funny, yeah.
Not a lot of cards do that, so it becomes very difficult to interact with. I think this card is great, and I've been talking a lot for it. What do you have to say
Wait,
about this
can I
card?
ask you something?
Yes, please.
So if it stays in your hand, right?
Yep.
You still have to reveal it to show that you
have
can
to-
activate it.
You have to reveal it, yeah.
Oh, it'd be so cool if you could just be like, I'm gonna pay 4 and like keep them in suspense.
Yeah,
like,
what?
who
Yeah, what
knows,
is it?
right?
Activate
Activate
a card. And you go, what the heck?
And also another thing that we kind of mentioned is that this, with the Gaia's Cradle loop, allows you to make the infinite green. With the filtering ability, the for 1 and tap it to make a mana of any color, you can, after you've made infinite green, filter that green mana into all of your other colors, which is kind of weird that ability, which seems like the worst thing on the card, is actually really relevant, really good. You play this in Kinnan.
I do, yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Because I'm also running that loop, which
Same
is
strategy.
very good. Yeah, that loop is nuts, and we touched on this before, but the loop is nuts in part because it's close to uninteractable. Like you were saying, you can just put it on the stack again, but the most key thing about having Breezecaller, Gaia's Cradle, and Talon Gates is that you do not need to cast any spells to go from there to infinite mana.
Right.
It is only ability activations, and like, when's the last time you got trick binded?
Well,
like,
I just got my Gaia's Cradle got bestaged in response to trying to do this literally right before we got here. So yes, but there's a very small window of things that can actually do anything about this, right? And even if they do, a lot of times if you have enough mana, they bestage you your Gaia's Cradle, you can just do it again. You can activate again and try to go through the loop over top of it, right?
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention too is that it doesn't come up a lot, but being able to phase out your own creatures defensively to stop them from getting Gilded Drake or Swords to Plowshare, like this comes up a surprising amount too. Like sometimes you just want to say, I'm phasing out my own creature so that like I'm protected, and once we get back to my turn, I'm going to be able to go for it.
Yeah, it weirdly like prevents like if you know your opponent is on Toxic Deluge or something like that, and they always Toxic Deluge your stuff. It protects against sorcery speed removal. You can like, I have seen players do that where they just like phase out their own Sisay, and then on their upkeep when it comes back in response to anyone doing anything, the win is right there or whatever. They can just, not Sisay's a bad example, but whatever. I don't think Sisay plays Talon Gates. But yeah, I agree. Talon Gates is great and a new card that I think is helping shift the meta a little bit and push into that Gaia's Cradle world. So I like this card a lot. Do you want to rate it? I feel like I've been saying stuff first a lot.
I don't want to rate it. Someone else rate it.
4 points. I think it's a 4 point something. I'm going to give it just a 4. Too many points. 4.
I will give it a 4.1 out of spite.
I'll tell you what, I'll give it a 3. I'm going to change my mind. I am going to rate it. I'm going to give it a 3.9.
I just spiked the other way.
I just spiked the other way. And because I actually cut it from a tally pretty recently. Yeah, I found it in my opening hand quite a lot. And there's a lot of opening hands that really need the green or the red mana right away. And it just felt like, although there are times where I wanted to get rid of Drannith Magistrate, which is a huge problem for me, that card does not see a lot of play anymore.
That's true, and 4 mana is so much to realistically think about it as removal being the primary option for it.
Yeah,
to be,
exactly.
Right? I
It's
mean,
like
you can just play it for your land for
Or like,
turn,
again,
right?
the
But-
crop rotation thing
right,
too,
yeah.
right? But again, it wasn't coming up enough on an impactful enough thing
Yeah.
for me to say, you know what, screw my opening hands and mana that I want.
Right.
I
Talon
want
is
a
so
Talon
specific,
Gates.
especially those first 2 turns. You need to make sure that you have red, and 5 generic. Like,
Yeah.
and Talon Gates doesn't always help with that. Yeah, but I still think Talon Gates is really good. I do think it kind of has to go alongside that combo, though. It can't just be in your deck because it's removal. It kind of has to do something else broken alongside it. And the fact that it's removal is like a bonus. Cool. Should we talk about the next card?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Should we interrupt this program for an ad break?
I would love an ad break. Yeah, what do
Okay.
you want to advertise? Something that, what do you got?
This is brought to you by Play to Win.
Oh, I thought you were just going to add up all the ratings.
Oh, an ad break. Oh,
Yeah, you just
an
gotta
ad
add up
break.
all the
Add it up.
ratings.
Yeah, ad break. We'll add it up. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I think that the top card, the tallest card that we have right now is Mystic Ramora.
Okay.
That's the best one for sure. Deflecting Swat is next. Demonic Consultation is after that. Talon Gates is after that. Then Relic of Legends, Nagila, Yurko, Life from the Loam, Thermoflux, Armageddon. And I'm pretty sure that was all correct. I just did that mental math. That felt pretty
good.
right? Okay.
I'm surprised there's only one card underneath Thermoflux.
I'm
but-
surprised I'm not more
Okay.
upset with you two by now, honestly.
Yeah, I thought you would have stormed out of here by now. Yeah.
I've been trying to get you to storm out this whole time.
I'm storming out.
We've talked about 10 cards so far, and we have a half hour left. How much more time? How many more cards do we have? Can you give us a rough?
Do you
I feel
think
like we
that
should get
this
something
list
out.
has the same amount of cards? Okay.
Just tear it in
Now
half.
it's
Tear it
ruined.
apart.
Oh, boy.
These are the same cards. Okay,
Same
so
cards,
yeah, that's
okay.
okay. We have a half hour left.
That's true.
Wow, no, we're doing great.
good on
We'll
time?
be good. We'll be good. Yeah, we're gonna be good. All
Okay,
right.
great.
Are you guys in a rush? I mean,
Yeah.
Should we give out a pack of sleeves
Let's
now?
give it a pack of sleeves. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Let's
how-
give out a
yeah.
pack of Play to Win sleeves.
Play
How
to
about
win
that?
sleeves. How do we figure this out? How do we figure this out? Should we?
You know, I asked for a potato rifle
throw
so
it.
that I could shoot.
Oh,
it
should you
into
just
the
throw it and
crowd
then hope that we don't harm someone?
All right. I am gonna throw it. You know what? I am
What's the
gonna.
word? Everyone, keep your arms up. Yeah, just throw it. What's
this
the word?
is so dangerous.
No, it's good.
I
It's
do not
good.
approve of this.
Give it some height. Give it some height. Now you really whipped that thing.
Whoa.
Nice. All right.
Did we get it? Anyone get it?
Who got it? Who got it?
Nice.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Now you're obligated to give it to a little girl at a baseball game.
Yeah. I've been saving this. Next
Just go to a baseball game for only
This has to go to a kid at a baseball game.
At a baseball
All right,
game.
what's our 11th card that we're talking about today?
All right. Man, good thing we didn't give rocks to give away.
That's true, yeah. It was gonna be rocks. I have dice that I want to give out. We're not gonna throw
We're not
that
gonna
one.
throw
We'll
dice.
throw those. Yeah, we'll
That'd
give
be
those
funny.
at the end. Yeah.
All right, our next card is Null Rod.
Oh, no, Rod. I don't own
It
this card.
does nothing.
It does nothing.
That's a weird stat to throw out, Dylan.
It
I
does
don't
nothing.
own this card.
Wait, you should explain that flavor text though.
Because it's a 2 generic mana artifact that says that activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated.
But what does the flavor text say? Do you remember?
It says
It does nothing.
No, it does nothing. That's what that means.
I think it's a very fun.
Yeah,
flavor
and
text.
if you're just not media literate if you don't get that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how
If you
I
don't think
how
that
I
game's
delivered
funny,
that.
you're stupid.
Yeah,
That's our motto.
I don't make the rules. That's just how it goes.
What do you think about Null Rod?
I think Null Rod has lost a lot in favor. Yeah.
Stinker.
Big thumper
Big
now,
thumper,
I think.
yeah. Big thumper stinker.
With stacks not being so good anymore, and especially with Dockside not being around, like
Yeah.
I really don't want to be stopping people's mana, and there's not enough artifact-based combos for this to be something that I'm interested in. If anything, the 2 mana artifact that shuts down activated abilities that I want is Curse Totem now.
Yeah, not of creatures, not of artifacts.
Yeah, because that one will do creatures and not artifacts.
Yeah, I think especially because of things like Magda, and although Null Rod can be good against Magda, Curse Totem is very good against Magda.
I think it's way better against
better,
Magda.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
they
the
can still
same
make a
thing.
bunch of treasures
Yeah.
and have a null. A lot of Magda decks play Null Rod.
Right.
Like that's the. Need I
weird.
say more, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know words. So, so I really don't like Null Rod so much anymore, even though this was historically good in cEDH and a lot of times, which I
Yeah.
think means that I'm going to give it a bit of a higher grade than I should because
Yeah.
of that. But either way, I think Null Rod is definitely not as good as it used to be.
The strength of Null Rod that I remember is that Null Rod you could play off of like an Ancient Tomb, and like in the early stages of the game, is that it was easy to cast off of colorless mana, so it wasn't like it was realistic to think that you could like use your Lotus Petal first, cast the Mana Dork, use your Ancient Tomb to cast the Null Rod, and then be kind of ahead of all of your opponents pretty quickly and have other mana sources.
Because you were on the play.
Because you're on the play or whatever, right? But at least that's how I'm thinking about it in Blood Pod. When I played it in Blood Pod, that was the kind of thought behind it. But as cEDH has evolved, at this point, I don't want to play any stacks pieces that don't also progress my game in some way, right? Like they also have to push me ahead. It has to be Opposition Agent because I get the tutor from it. It has to be Orcish Bowmaster because I can use the big creature and I have 2 creatures that I can now sacrifice for value or whatever. Like it's got to go both ways. And Null Rod basically does nothing to go both ways. Like it's an artifact, so if you have artifact strategies, kind of, but it doesn't do anything to help you win the game.
And even now, like, there's less decks that I would want it in that used to want it in because we've gotten, like, the One Ring.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of things that you want to play artifact-wise now that
Exactly.
we didn't have access to a couple years ago.
Yeah, the One Ring kind of helps out the same type of decks that would have wanted to be helped by Null Rod because like a slower Staxy deck would be interested in a card that would allow you to draw more cards as the game goes longer and longer, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, Dockside wasn't the only thing that got cut. Also, Mana Vault and Jeweled Lotus. So
Yeah.
other great
Mana
artifacts
Crypt.
that made it a little bit worse. And then on top of that, we were at a point for quite a while there where Underworld Breach was, I would say, probably the ascendant
The
win
thing,
condition.
right?
You're expecting most decks to want to use LED to win. And when that's not the case, Null Rod suddenly gets a lot worse.
Right.
Now it's in the pile with the rest of the stacks that you're describing where it doesn't advance my board. And if your only goal as a cEDH deck is to stop your opponents from winning without being able to win yourself, then you're usually going to succeed in stopping 2 of your opponents from winning.
And
then
not winning
losing to the
yourself.
other one.
Yeah,
And then getting a draw in a tournament.
Right,
Yeah.
I think what's the green-white Elevere, that Enchantress that has shown some tournament results? I have seen some of those lists that play Null Rod, so that's one deck. Maybe I'm gonna give this like a 1.5. It's not completely unplayable. It's better than Armageddon.
I think I just fully agree with you for once. I'm going to give it a 1.5 too.
Look at that! I'll take it.
So you guys are not considering the historical applications of this card at all.
I'm counting that, but now, how good these cards are now is where I'm weighing.
See,
more
I'm doing a
heavily.
lot of the historical stuff too, so I'm gonna give this card a 2.5. I
2.5?
think.
Okay,
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah,
Take it,
2.5. Not a 0.5.
It appreciates
specifically
that.
the fraction form.
Cam operates on
2.5,
vibes and
sorry.
provenance.
Vibes and provenance alone.
Not 2.5, 2 and 1/2.
2 and 1/2.
Okay,
Yeah,
which-
specifically.
So
yeah.
1.5, 1.5, 2.5.
2.5. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Number 12. Should we talk about the next
Let's
card on the
talk
list?
about our next
Great.
card on the list. Yeah. This next card, I really can't talk about the historicalness of it.
No.
Because it's Gifts Ungiven. See, it's not even new, really. It's just
not
new
really.
to Commander, because it was banned for a long time. This is, oh God, can I get this? This is an instant for 3 and a blue that lets you search your library for up to 4 cards with different names, and then an opponent chooses 2 of the cards to put into your graveyard, and you put the remaining cards into your hand.
Yes, I think that's what it does.
I think that is what it does.
Notable thing, it's like intuition, so you need a target. You have to target a player as which player will be choosing the cards, right?
So
Not
there
that matters.
the chance that a Veil of Summer can effectively counter this from
Right.
happening.
Yeah, not that really matters. And then also, the fun little thing is if you get less than 4 cards, like if you get just 2 cards, those cards just go right to the graveyard. It's double entomb if you want to just find 2 cards. I don't know how much it's going to come up, but that
If
is
you're playing extended,
Not
that'll
never.
come up a
yeah,
lot.
not never.
Not
It has
never.
come up in Gifts Ungivens past and before. I think weirdly the 2 thing was one of the reasons why it was banned is that the fear of finding Unburial Rights Elishnorn or something was like something that casual players were very afraid of, and this card does that. That's not why we like it in cEDH, but that is something that it did.
That's true. Yeah, I guess now that Iona is banned in Commander, now
right?
it's a lot less scary
Yeah.
for casual
what are
players
you
to
gonna
have
get?
that
Yeah, for that much
Unburial
mana.
Rights set up to go.
Because that's
So
8 mana that you have now spent to get any creature from your deck, which is cool for casual.
I guess
cool
you
for
were
bracket
really
4.
only getting a 1 mana discount on Iona anyway, which
Right.
isn't really
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah.
I guess so.
That's-
Yeah.
Maybe it's the tutor thing. I don't know. Either way, I think this card has been really freaking good for cEDH.
Yeah,
since
weirdly
it's
enough,
been
I haven't
unbanned.
seen it come up a ton, but tell me your thoughts on Gifts.
I like it in any deck that was basically plain Intuition, just because it essentially does the same thing in guaranteeing your setup for Underworld Breach. I think it's just that there's fewer decks that can play it, that we're realizing that can play it. Like, I'm trying out Vivi right now, and I have it in Vivi because I don't care. I can go find Tandem Lookout, Ophidian Eye, Curiosity, and then Underworld Breach.
Sure.
And then I'll always have something to go with Vivi,
Yeah.
but I also have the opportunity to set up other Underworld Breach piles for myself down the line, right? So, like, I'm not necessarily in love with it there, but I think it still has a lot of really good applications as a tutor and as a card advantage engine to help me continue to push through in a deck where I really want to keep pushing and casting more instants and sorcery, non-creatures really, any old non-creature, because they said that on VV for some reason.
Right. Any non-creature, not instance and sorcery.
yeah,
VV's broken.
yeah.
What a wild card.
What a wild card. Yeah. What do you think about Gifts?
I really think like you can get very much into the weeds on like the niche applications when it's better than Intuition versus worse, but I think the bottom line for like broad application across most decks is just 4-mana Intuition is still good. It's really that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, and a lot of the lines will allow you to make that mana up later on because you're allowed to get an extra thing or whatever. So yeah, I totally agree. But I do think it is firmly, if you're playing Intuition, you want Gifts. If you're not playing Intuition, you maybe don't. I don't know that that's true. I haven't thought about every
I think
single
there's
deck in
some
cEDH, but-
non-Intuition decks that
Yeah.
can get away with Gifts that I would need to do a little bit more of a deep dive into, because like there's just certain ways that you can set up 2-card combos. We were talking about like in Thrasios Timna, like including Gifts and Intuition into our deck because of the piles that you can set up with like Kin and Basalt Monolith or
Savine's Reclamation helps bring them all together.
Exactly, right. And I think like that's an example of a deck where Gifts might actually outshine Intuition, because Gifts just like sets you up for the resiliency a little bit better by getting you additional cards to help you assemble 2-card combos, as opposed to Intuition that requires you to either have the Underworld Breach 3-card combo with LED and Brain Freeze already set up, or like forcing you to find like interaction, where you have to find like 3 free counter spells or free interactive spells in order to do something. Whereas like Gifts can also do that, but then also give you an additional free interactive spell if you're trying to do that as well. So I think that there are decks where Gifts outshines Intuition, but there's more decks that I think Intuition outshines Gifts for the mana value reason.
Just that
Absolutely.
3-mana initial investment is just easier than 4. Simple
way
as that.
easier,
Again.
yeah. So that being said, I think Gifts Ungiven is going to get like a 3 for me.
3, okay.
Because I think it still needs to prove itself. And it does go in some of the best decks, but I've not been as impressed with Gifts as I wanted to be.
Yeah,
when
I mean,
it got unbanned.
Blue Farm is still arguably the best deck in the format.
Tim
and
the Crown, heck yeah.
Tim the Crown, Blue Farm is still arguably the best deck in the format. And I think most of the lists that I have seen recently have been playing Gifts Ungiven. And I think that's a good home for it. I think that's like the first home for it. So it is kind of strange that like it's like one of the best things that you can do in the best decks in the format, and to only give it a 3. But it kind of like it doesn't show up again until like a lot lower on that list of like best decks, I think.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Like it sees playing Blue Farm, and then maybe in Rockside, probably not, and then not a lot of the Gaia's
Seen
Cradle
some
decks.
on it, but I just don't think it's that great.
It's a little slow.
Yeah. You have piles that can win, but they're so much more expensive, and Rockside wasn't really hurting for ways to win.
Right.
most of the
Yeah.
time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Deck's pretty good at winning.
It does that
honestly, if you
pretty
played
well.
against
So
it.
yeah, I think I also am going to give it a 3, but it's like a firm 3. It's a very strong 3.
Oh, it stands there straight up and it can't move because it's a firm 3.
It's a very firm, abrupt
It's just right
3.
there.
What do you?
Yeah.
How are you?
I will give it a weak, tender, floppy 3. but-
Floppy 3. A soft.
So what
placid
does
3.
that average out to,
Three,
Dylan?
threes across the board. 3 with the bar on top. 3 repeating is what this is.
No, that's not what happens.
No, it is. I already said
Why
it,
would
and
you
so it's
say
true.
And how does the floppiness affect that average?
Well, that's what gives you this firm bar
That's
on
the
top.
firm
yeah,
bar
when you
on
mix
top.
the two together.
Okay, yeah,
exactly.
nice.
Firm and
All
flop.
right.
Firm and flop. 13th card that we're going to talk about today at MAGICCON 2025.
No,
Las
skip
Vegas.
the 13th card.
Skip
We're going
it?
to talk about the 14th card.
Like a
Okay.
building, we're going to
okay.
skip the 13th card due to luck.
Nice. I'm literally skipping that card. This is Neoform is the next card we're going to talk about.
Something
A
fun
good
with
one.
this card just came up with me today that is very rarely
so
relevant.
funny. Oh
but-
my god. Yeah, so this is a green and a blue for a sorcery that says sacrifice a creature as an additional cost to cast the spell, and you may search your library for another creature that costs exactly 1 mana value more than the sacrificed creature's cost, and you can put it directly into play with an additional +1/+1 counter on it.
This card's very
I
powerful.
only got the +1/+1 counter thing today because that's the part that came up weirdly
Yeah,
enough.
that part came up with me where I neoformed my Yoshimaru into a Kinnan to get a Kinnan, but there was a Roxanne in play.
Roxanne!
Thank you.
I'm gonna
Roxanne
get
can make
copyright
meteors
struck.
that deals 2 damage to stuff, so I was able to have my Kinnan come in with a +1/+1 counter. And safe from the meteor, so it felt very good, especially because I had 7 treasures from Smothering Tithe, and I got a Kinnan out, so it's 14 mana with Thrasios. Felt very good. My opponents had every interaction in the book. That was a game that they had Besage for my Gaia's Cradle. Nonetheless, it was super powerful. Neoform is a card that once was like one of my favorite cards in the format and has dropped a little bit. But since playing all these Gaia's Cradle decks, it's a lot better now. What do you think about this card?
You, me?
Yeah, Tyler. Tyler.
We have
yeah.
so many good creature tutors, so it does have a lot to compete with. But 2 mana is a very aggressively priced creature tutor.
Yeah.
So even though you have the restriction of it has to be exactly 1 mana more than the thing you're sacrificing, even though it's not going to be great in every situation, it's just so cheap for a creature tutor.
Yeah.
And if that can
into
get
play.
you a game, what?
Right into play.
Right into play.
Right into
What were they thinking?
What were they thinking?
So the decks that can make great use of this is an excellent card and something that they want to see in their opening hands all the time because it can be a kind of surprise victory out of nowhere. But there are a lot of decks that can't run it because they just don't have a great line where they're going to turn their thing into the next mana value up.
You need a birthing pod curve, really.
Yeah,
This was a
yeah.
big thing in
need a birthing
I played a lot of birthing pod in Modern.
Or Tasigur. You need your
Or
commander
Tasigur,
to
yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
neoform itself into something.
Ooh,
else.
that's a good point.
That's
yeah.
where I feel like it sees the most play when your commander goes into something that perfectly the deck wants, right?
Yeah.
Like in Yoshimaru Thrasios, a Rog Thras deck where you're willing to get rid of your commander because you just want to get anything. Maybe less in Rog Thras, I don't know. But
Well, I mean, still wrong. Any deck that runs like mana dorks. Like if you're running mana dorks, this is something that I want because I'm probably in a mana, or not a mana, but like a creature heavy deck
Yeah.
in general. And when it can get you a uncounterable like Grand Abolisher, like if they don't think that you're going for Grand Abolisher, you go for Grand Abolisher. Now there's nothing else they can do because it's just right there in play.
it's just right in play. There's no more time. I like that too. When they're not sure if you're getting rid of your mana dork, they don't know if you're getting Thassa's Oracle or Grand Abolisher, and they have to talk amongst themselves. And then there's a situation if you're in a tournament, they're going to start asking you what are you going to get, and you have to either figure out, well, I can't lie because I'm in a tournament, so I have to figure out how to either make an agreement. Do I say? How much information do I give? We were talking about this the other day that the fact that you're not allowed to lie in cEDH tournaments is kind of exploitable.
That's so exploitable.
Because I can just
yeah.
ask you, are you going to win? Are you going to win? You have to tell me, otherwise you're a liar. And then if you say yes, everyone, they're going to win. Like, it's kind of exploitable if you choose to do it that way, I think.
I think it depends.
Maybe we just don't.
Yeah.
That might be one of those things that in theory that sounds like it works, and then in practice you're like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're like,
every turn I'm
everyone
asking,
target
are you going to win? Are you going to win? Are you going to win? If you say yes, everyone has to target you.
Everyone has to. He said
If
he's
you say
gonna
no,
win.
then you can't win, or you're a liar.
Or
I'll tell
you're a
everyone.
liar, and you're going to be besmirched.
Yeah. So it's kind of exploitable. The bluffing in cEDH, I think, is fun, and I try to do that as much as possible. I find out for me that it's best if I just shut the heck up. If it's like when I'm talking to cops, just shut up. I don't have to tell you
Anything
anything.
you can say will be used against you.
Right, it's gonna be used against me. You guys can talk yourself in and out of circles and figure out what I'm gonna get or not get, or I'm just gonna shut up and just get what I get, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I go to most of the
So
time.
what is Neoform?
So what is Neoform a rating? I will give it high. I think like a 3.
Are you on Jeopardy? What is Neoform?
What is Neoform? Neoform is 3.7. 3.7. I'll give it.
Whoa.
I think it's high. Is that too high? You think?
Whoa!
I think it's really powerful.
That is very tall,
Okay,
Dylan.
what do
That is
you-
rather
rather
tall,
too
I would
tall?
say.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to
Yeah,
say
too
that
tall.
Neoform is a 3.1, I think.
3.1, a little
it,
short
yeah.
man. Okay, and then what about you, Cam?
I'm
What do
gonna
you
give it a B.
A B. That one's a B. Like the bug or the letter?
Both. It's the letter B, but it has a stinger.
Can it be the letter B, but the B is the wing to the animal B, and then I would draw B?
You know what? I don't care anymore. You can do whatever you want with that.
Should
whatever
we
you
do
want.
another giveaway, maybe?
We should do another giveaway.
Oh,
Good
that's a
call,
good
Tyler.
idea.
The next thing we're gonna give away are Dragon Shield Amethyst sleeves. Should I throw these again? How are we gonna?
Does anyone have a B tattoo?
What?
I don't know. I'm trying
If
to find.
anyone has a B tattoo.
A B tattoo? Oh, perfect. Can I see your B tattoo? I'll just trust you. You can have them. That looks like a B. Yeah, right? That's a B. Cam will come confirm with you.
Hold on, I'm gonna get a good look at your thigh as I come over here.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
That's a B.
That's a B. We got a B. There we go.
Matt, thank you very much, Matt. Round of applause for Matt. You guys are already doing that. We're doing great. All right.
You're stuck with them for just a minute. I'll be right
Tyler's
back.
got a B.
Oh, he's got a B? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've also got a B.
All right, that's funny. All right, here we go.
Neil, all right, so the next one we get to rate without Tyler, which is great.
Oh, this is gonna suck
kidding,
for
I'm
him.
kidding.
Because the next card, maybe we should keep his mic on.
Keep it in the podcast. Keep that
Keep it,
stream in
yeah.
there. Okay, what's the number 15?
Didn't we say before we came on that if any of us peed, we were gonna keep it in?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did. I
so-
said that if I pee on stage, you keep it in.
We're keeping it in.
On or off
so-
stage. I don't care.
I didn't know it was gonna come true. That's so great.
Okay.
All right,
Number 15.
Seedborn Muse is our next card.
woof.
Yeah. Woof. Yeah. I feel like we know Tyler would give this a really good grade anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm just
but-
gonna. Yeah, Tyler gave it a 6.
Tyler gave it a 6. Yeah.
Why'd you give it a wrong?
Yeah.
That's not even an option, Tyler. Stinker. All right, Seedborn
Man.
Muse.
All
Talk
right,
to me
so
about
this
Seedborn Muse.
is 3 and 2 green
Yes.
for a 2/4 spirit.
Just-
not a human.
not a human.
Looks really human-like,
Humanish,
but
yeah, I
not a
would agree.
human. And, you know, the Forest Immo card looks way less human-like. That makes it,
does.
way less confusing
Yep.
for me. And then you get to untap all of your stuff all the time. That's
says-
what it says.
Yeah, you get to untap all your stuff all the time.
All the time. Yeah,
Untap
exactly.
all permanents you control during each player's untap step. And it's a 2/4.
Yeah. Now, this does not stack. If you
Not
have
a
2
trigger.
Seedborn Muses, you're right. It's not a trigger. You just untap. And there's not like you could even do anything if it was a trigger in the untap step, because you
Right.
can't tap the mana and then cast spells
Right.
with it, no matter what.
Yeah.
That being said, any deck that has a mana sink in the command zone
Thrasios or Kinnan.
and makes a ton of mana in general is going to adore this card and eat
Yeah.
this up.
Yeah, this is kind of a specific one that, like, it weirdly, it is one of the most powerful cards in the format, but it's still kind of like a 3-ish or something, because it's really only good in Thrasios and Kinnan decks, right? Like, there's some other decks, but, like, you kind of have to have a commander that has a mana ability attached to it, because if you're just untapping during each player's turn, realistically in cEDH, you gotta have something to do with that, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
having
exactly.
the mana from your commander is a really good thing. And with the Gaia's Cradle stuff, you already gave the card a 6, which is weird because that's not even an option. I don't know
Yeah,
how you
I
did
can't
that.
believe that you went that high.
But in the Gaia's Cradle,
What?
you gave Seedborn Muse, you weren't here, so you gave it a 6.
You
which
don't
is weird.
remember?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I would give it a 6.
You
yeah.
would, I feel like you would.
Thank
The
you.
one
thank
card,
you.
yeah.
You knew I was F6,
there
and you
you
were like,
go.
oh, we'll just give the rating for
Well,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just with the Gaia's Cradle decks being so good recently, Seedborn Muse is like the king of the castle in that strategy of like allowing you to go way over the top and be very,
looking
but
at
very
the time,
strong.
I'm sorry.
What do you already said a little bit of Seedborn Muse? Do you have
I
any
said a
other
little bit
thoughts?
of Seedborn Muse. I don't have anything else. Like, what else is there to say about Seedborn Muse? Like, just read the card
It's like
and you'll
the
see
green.
why it's busted.
It's like the green ad nauseum. If it resolves and it sticks around a turn cycle, a lot of times you win. Although I'm editing a game right now where I had a Seedborn Muse and it stuck around, except I was playing Krark Thrasios and there was a Yoshimaru Thrasios deck at the table as well, and they had a Smothering Tithe and a Training Grounds and a Biomancer's Familiar, which means every treasure was a Thrasios activation. And even with my Thrasios, even with my Seedborn Muse, my Thrasios activation still cost 4 mana. So they were still able to completely outpace me, because even if I were to dare activate a Thrasios and draw a card, that means it gives them a treasure, which means that's another Thrasios activation for them. So it can lose to another strategy that's similar, right? But most of the time, if you resolve Seedborn Muse, stick it around for a turn cycle, you're probably going to be able to win.
Yeah, it's
You
not
basically-
bulletproof, but
you
it is.
basically just said that it loses to the same thing.
It loses to the same-
It loses to other Seedborn
If you can
Muses.
make your own Seedborn Muse that does the Seedborn thing better, it can lose to that. But besides that, it's so good at just like finding ways to stay alive just long enough and make enough mana and then win the game.
That it
Did
can
we already
only
talk
lose
about
to
this too?
itself.
Because the one thing with Seedborn Muse is it got better when the One Ring was printed.
Oh,
Seaborn
that's
Muse plus
true.
the One Ring
True.
is so good.
Way
Yeah,
good.
because now you have an option that if you have the Thrasios and the One Ring out, and they can get rid of the Thrasios in response to Seedborn, that doesn't really do anything, where they can just get rid of the Seedborn or whatever, but it limits their options for what they can do to try to
Although
stop you.
sometimes I feel sad because I don't have something to do with the mana that I make with Seedborn Muse, and I have all these cards in my hand, but I can't.
2, 3, 4,
Cameron, I don't know if you knew this. You're allowed to just add it to your mana pool and then roll around in it.
Oh, I can like Scrooge McDuck and all
Yeah,
my
you
mana.
can Scrooge McDuck and all the mana.
Oh, I
Yeah.
should do that way
Exactly.
more.
I'm gonna give
Wow.
Seedborn Muse like a 4, like a 4.2.
I'm gonna give it a 6 as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure, whatever.
I
Doesn't
think
matter.
we established
Hell
it's tall,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
let's
all
do
right.
it. Yeah.
4.2, 6, and 6. All right, nice.
All right, I'm gonna go to the bottom of the list and work our way up now.
So what number is this that we're going to?
This is now number, hold up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
24?
I counted 24.
So we're going to, there's 20.
now? But we skipped
We skipped 13.
That's
Yeah.
why there's only 24. Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
We're at number
yeah.
24 now.
So now, for number
Whatever.
24, we're going to talk about Dargo, the Shipwrecker.
Oh, yeah, okay, sounds good.
Ooh, yes, we talked about Dargo already.
We already
I
talked
don't
about
know
Dargo.
that I know Dargo memorized.
Can I ask something first?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Was anyone watching our channel way back when I used to play Jessica Dargo? Yeah? Oh, that deck was so fun.
That deck was so bad.
They're partners, but it's still monocolored.
Yeah. The Dargo Shipwrecker, Dargo the Shipwrecker, is for 6 and a red, a legendary creature, giant pirate, that says an additional cost to cast this spell. You may sacrifice any number of artifacts and or creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each permanent sacrifice this way, and 2 less to cast for each other artifact or creature you sacrificed this turn, and it's a trampling 7/5. For some reason, it's also that stuff.
It's so big.
So big, yeah.
And he's eating a lobster, but like not the way you should eat a lobster. If anyone's ever seen this art, he's just like crunching the lobster
The
in
arm
half.
right off of it, raw.
Yeah,
and it's probably a
extremely
huge
disturbing.
lobster, right?
Yeah, 'cause he's
Because
huge.
he's huge. He's at
monster
least
is
7'5",
so
right?
big.
So he's
Is
like
he
bigger than
eating
Shaq.
a hull breaker horror?
Ooh.
Because the hull breaker, shipwrecker,
Hole breaker.
brew breaker,
Yeah.
don't you?
I knew there was a song somewhere in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
okay,
is.
thank
Yeah,
you.
someone
Oh
call.
my
Actually, don't call
goodness.
Pat Benatar, please. Whatever you do.
We talked about Dargo a little bit. Used to be better with Dockside. Still very good now. Still very broken. The fact that it counts for 2 less for anything that you've sacrificed this turn, which means once you get a loop going and you sacrifice Dargo with like a Phyrexian altar,
Sure,
It
yeah,
can go again
Phyrexian
forever?
Altar is excellent, but this is also a card that is so good with Sacrifice and Burnt Offering. The same way if you've played Hoarding Broodlord lines, where you find it, that goes and finds Sacrifice or Burnt Offering, which adds mana equal to the mana value of the creature you sacrificed. And this has such a huge mana value that most of the time this is getting played in a turbo context where you can make really great use of all that mana to do something super explosive.
yeah, the issue is that it's a little bit glass cannon-y. If they do find a way to stop your thing, you've like sacrificed all your creatures and artifacts or whatever to make Dargo cheap and stuff like that. And I think that's part of the reason why it doesn't see quite as much play now. Also, realistically, just because Rograk and Kark are also insanely powerful for some reason, so the other red partners that Dargo compares with are also just really good.
And it's hard.
It's hard.
It's just hard.
It's just a hard deck. It's just different. Like it's just hard for your brain to count
It's
it right.
just- Yeah, like
It's
I
tough
don't
sequencing,
know.
and it doesn't go well with anything blue, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We've been talking for so long. I'm sick of this.
It's just hard to play. Like
Yeah,
for me, and that's a me problem. I
Yeah.
totally understand that.
What do you rate it? What do you
I
give it?
rate well for me it's a 1
A
because
1.
I can't play it very well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1 for solidarity too. 1
What?
for me. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm with Cam.
I mean,
That's
you know what?
with
And if you don't
guys
give
had
it a
one,
1,
we didn't match. Yeah.
and if you don't give it a 1, you're not in solidarity
You're
with
not in
us.
solidarity.
And that's gonna, yeah.
One's how would you
Cool.
give it?
I'm gonna give it a 3.2.
3.2.
And
3.2.
3 minus 2 is 1, so that's a 1.
No, that's a 1.5. That's $1.50.
Oh my
$1.50.
God.
$1.50. Dargo.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
what's-
I'm probably switching my Timna Kark deck back to this because
Really?
yes, it is hard to play Cameron, but it is still easier to play than Timna Kark. And in tournament EDH, playing Timna Kark, that takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Kark's easy to play because when it just goes back to your hand and then you go, ooh, pass the turn. Okay.
That's
That's
true.
easy. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like also the Kark things, I feel like you have to tell your opponents, listen to me, you are dead. It's going to take me 45 minutes though.
Please
just-
believe me.
Please just
Yeah.
concede. Yeah. Whereas with Dargo, you can kind of show them a little bit easier that
Look,
no,
I'm
you
going
are
to do
dead.
this
Yeah.
50,000
Yeah,
more times.
you're dead right now.
Yeah.
What's the next card that we want to talk about today, Cameron? We can either talk about the 16th card or the 25th card.
I
or
want to talk about one in
23rd,
the middle. I'm going to do one in the middle.
Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put a question mark since we don't know what numbers it is, because it's gonna be hard to count.
All right, this next card is called Francisco, Foul Marauder.
The
bird.
Sure.
The bird, yeah. Well, everyone's heard about the bird. This is a 1 and a black for a 0-1 foul pirate. Yeah, that's how bad he is. He's foul.
Foul.
And he actually no, he's a bird pirate. Foul isn't his name.
Yeah, he's a bird pirate.
Wow, way to go, Cam. He can't block. He's an 0-1 with flying, and whenever a pirate deals damage to an opponent, you get to explore.
Yeah.
So this is actually a combo piece with Walking Ballista exiled to Agatha's Soul Cauldron, because Agatha's Soul Cauldron can give a +1/+1 counter to. Who are we talking about?
Francisco.
Francisco. And then Francisco can remove the +1/+1 counter because now it has the Walking Ballista abilities thanks to the Agatha Soul Cauldron. So you can ping someone with the damage, and then that triggers Francisco because a pirate dealt damage to an opponent. Right. So as long as you don't reveal a land, which you probably won't because you can A, set it up with like Mystical Tutor or something, or B, you're only playing 27, 28 lands, so you have a really good shot of not hitting one. Then you'll put another +1/+1 counter back on Francisco, and you can just keep repeating this until the table's dead.
Yeah. This was one that I played a little bit. I actually had like a decent amount of like casual personal success with it.
Oh, he has partner. That's
and he's got
why.
partner. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the most important part about him.
Man,
He's got partner.
sucks
yeah, you're not
with
playing
that
mono black
partner.
You're not playing mono black Francisco, yeah. So you can pair him with Crom, and you have a good Grixis deck, right? Where you have like decent card advantage in Crom and like kind of a weird win condition in Francisco.
Oh, because Final Partying was also made that whole thing a one card, one con.
Yeah, exactly. And then also this just being 2 mana, just like a 2 mana legend that you can partner with something else is sometimes just like that in itself is pretty good. It makes your deflecting slots and all of your things a little bit cheaper. I came off of this one just because it's kind of hard to compare with Rogsai, but I still think that Francisco is fine. I haven't seen it a lot lately though.
I think it's fine. I think it is a question of like when you're doing the partner commanders, like what is the thing you want in the command zone?
Yeah.
And sometimes like this is saying, what if the answer is that I want the winning combo to be in the command zone, which is kind of the Thrasios thing. But Thrasios will incrementally get you there and incrementally provide value while also being the win outlet in the command zone, whereas Francisco is only win outlet, no incremental value.
Yeah.
And I think that's just not good enough.
We were kind of talking about that a little bit earlier today, even in this podcast. We were talking about like it's nice when Demonic Consultation it's a combo piece, but it helps you lead into your other combo pieces. Guy's Cradle is a combo piece, but it's still mana. It helps you lead into your other combo pieces. Where like you said, Francisco doesn't do that. It's just it's an A of a B plus C, and that's kind of all that it is, right? The Explore itself. Which, do you know what Explore does? Can you recite what Explore does offhand? Because I have a hard time every time.
Yeah, no, I can too. This is just a you problem.
This is just a
You got it, Cam. You got it.
Cam, let's see it.
Make Dylan look like an idiot.
When you explore, you reveal the top of your library. If it's a land, you put it in your hand. If it's a land, you put it in your hand. If it's not a land, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, and then you can either leave it on top of your library or put it into your graveyard.
I think that
Perfect.
sounds true. Nice. Yeah, good job, Cameron.
Thank you. Wow, 3 bows today.
3 bows, yeah, keep it up.
And narcissist. All right.
I'm gonna rate this one, I don't know, 2-ish? Like, I think 2-ish. I'm gonna rate 2-ish.
I'll say 2.2.
2.2,
That's
okay.
That's a 2-ish, so that's still right.
And then for you?
A 1.9, which is
okay.
also a 2-ish, so that sounds good. All
Okay,
right, do we have time for another?
I think maybe we have time for one more, and then
What's
we
the
can,
time?
it's 125, and then we
Okay.
can give away our Cloud Precon deck box and let everyone know that we have a meet and greet at 3 at the Creator Central if you want to come hang out with us.
And that, we'll
then we
like
can have a
sign
card.
stuff there, yeah. I think there's another show right after this, so we might have to fire out of here then.
I think
but-
that's true. Can I take a selfie real quick with everyone
Yes,
before
let's
that
get
before that we do the final one? Okay.
you too.
No, I'm just gonna sit that way.
Ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1, and another one over here. We get everyone. I'm gonna try. Is everyone in it? If I can't see you, you can't see me. Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more card.
One more card. Final
Last card.
Blue hat with the glasses. Pick a number 1 through 25 that isn't 1 through 16 or 25 or 18 or 13. 19. 25, 24, 23. I lost count. Cody, vociferous.
Codex.
It's Codex.
That's a
yes.
good one to end on.
What a
yeah.
great one to end on. So this is a 3-mana legendary artifact creature who's got some number of power and toughness.
1/4.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
An ample rump. as we
Ample
say.
rump, yes. And Cody says you can't cast permanents, and for 4 mana and tapping Cody, you can add Wooburg mana, and then the next instant or sorcery that you cast basically cascades into another spell that you don't have to cast right away. You can cast it at any point on that turn. And that's the exact wording on Cody.
That's exactly it. I just want to clarify. It's for 4 and tap. Is what you must pay.
I got that right.
You got that right. Add Wooburg, that's also correct.
Got that right.
When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile specifically an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value.
I thought I got it mixed up because I said when you cast your next instant or sorcery, you flip into any
spell, next instant
but
or
it's
sorcery.
you cast any spell, then your next instant or
And
sorcery.
then notably, until end of turn, you may cast that spell without paying its mana cost.
And I got that right.
And put each card on the bottom of the library.
And, crucially...
you may put each other card this way on the bottom of the library in any order, random order.
Oh, wait a minute, but you can't play permanent. Wait. Yeah,
said
you
you
can't.
can't.
He did say.
Did
Cam
you say
did
that
mention
part?
you can't.
I
cast
did say
things.
I am
Yeah.
such a good listener.
Yeah.
But it's specifically that you find the instant or sorcery, which will normally be the tutor, which is called
Profane Tutor.
Profane Tutor.
Because it's a 0 mana tutor that has suspend, which
Suspend,
is why
yeah.
it works as a card.
Right. So with this restriction, Cody can't play Pact of Negation because that is an instant or sorcery that costs actual 0 mana on the card. Because if it was, Cody could flip into it or something like that. So that's really the only real restrictions. You can't play permanents. Yes, kind of. You know what I mean. But a lot of the cards in your deck have ways to get rid of Cody, or you're a Storm deck. There's just not a ton of permanents, or the permanents that you play before the Cody comes in. There's also a couple of other things that Cody can flip into. There's the Ancestral Recall and the Wheel of Fortune. That's not their names, but they do.
Ancestral Visions and Wheel of Fate.
That's it. Which are suspend cards that do those effects. Look at him go. That is
on it.
My waist hurts so much.
from all the bowing.
From all the bowing that I did, yeah.
Cody's great. I'll just say 5-color Turbo. It was a deck that I loved a lot for a while, but it's a little bit. Everyone sees it coming. They know
Remember
what to
when
do.
it won 2 tournaments in a row because nobody saw it coming?
No one saw it coming. And then once they see it coming, it's kind of easy to interact with because you know what to do, right?
Yeah, when your opponents have no idea what your commander does, like you have a much better chance of winning. And so honestly, you should just like scribble all over your text box. You know, get an altar. Like don't. If they ask to see what your card says, I won't tell you.
No,
I will
just
never
eat it.
tell
Yeah.
Eat it, yeah. All right.
but
For
yeah.
my next trick, I'm going to eat this list.
Eat the hell list, yeah, in front of everyone. Cody, although I do love the card, and I think it's super sweet, I personally enjoyed another style of Turbo right now, Rogsai or Atali or some of these other decks that kind of, they are a little bit more explosive, if that makes sense. Cody has to wind up. It's like a solar beam, is
Like
what it
an
does.
old Henry
Solar
Ford Model
beam,
T.
yeah.
Sure, yes, exactly. We're like, yeah, Cody has to like load. Where like Rogsai or Atali doesn't really need to. You can just
Cody, Flow Rider?
pretty good. But yeah, but I don't see it much anymore because I think it's just other decks do a similar thing. And also it's got the 5-color thing. 5-color pilots maybe hop around a little bit more. Turbo pilots hop around a little bit more. And everyone knows what it does.
But with this mana cost, also one that definitely suffered from not having Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus.
Oh my
Also
God,
true,
perfect
yeah.
cards for this deck. I remember when I was playing Cody, any hand that had Mana Crypt was basically keepable. It didn't matter. But if you got any other spell at all in your hand, Mana Crypt land with Cody was just like a lot of times good enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this card.
I'm going to go first because
Yeah.
you're taking forever.
No, I'm gonna go first. It's a 2. It's a 2.
It's a 2?
It's a 2, Cody
Oh,
2.
I was going to give it a 5.
Yeah, 2 and a 5.
I don't believe you.
Historical implications, and it did so much to cEDH, and to realize that like you can't just like not care about a deck at a table
Yeah.
because you don't know what it does. Like this taught everyone in cEDH lessons for years. You think? Yeah.
I'm gonna
Don't
give it a-
underestimate a deck. You'll lose to it all the time.
gonna
I'm
give it a
going
2.
down to a 1.9
Yeah,
now.
1.9, 1.9 for both of us. 1.9. Okay.
What?
That's it. What do we normally say at the end of the podcast?
we don't end well.
We don't.
podcast.
Recently,
They
it's
just,
been
like,
shaky. It's
They
been
just
shaky.
like shakily end. and
Yeah,
then,
thanks for
yeah.
watching or listening.
If
yeah.
you like to support
You guys
us.
know it better than we do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys do.
All right.
You know, we'll say thanks for being here. And as a thanks for being here, we have a Cloud X Soldier Final Fantasy Commander deck to give away. I think, yeah, this thing is literally priceless. So, do a what? A Kermit? A scary Kermit? I don't know how to do a Kermit the Frog.
That was pretty good. That's
pretty
really
good,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any of that bubbly voice stuff, I feel like you got pretty good.
The only thing I know how to do is like Shaggy. Not like Shaggy is from Scooby-Doo, but like Shaggy, who used to sing the... It wasn't me or anything like that, yeah. I wanted to walk into Mr. Boombastic, but then copyright issues and it's all off on
How do we want to decide who we give this to?
I was gonna flip a coin, but there's way too many people in here.
Yesterday I did this. Who thinks that they live the furthest away from here? Where do you live? What? Nebraska. Does anyone live further than Nebraska? Where? London? London's extremely far.
Anyone live farther than London?
Canada's far. I feel like London's further. What? Canada.
London's farther,
London.
sorry.
I think it's
Love
London.
you, though.
London one. London going twice? London. 2 Londons? Oh, all right. Yeah, London going twice to London.
London, thank you for coming out. Appreciate you coming all the way from across
Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your con.
Oh my God, the accent's there. He's got it. He's got it. It's London.
Nice. Perfect. Nice. Wonderful. It's proof. Meet and greet at 3 in the Creator Central. Dragon Shield booth tomorrow at 2. Thanks for coming.
We can't thank you enough for being here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Stam Nandez, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Mr. Jerby, The Cardboard Cookbook, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Pat Fire, Spangler, Demetrius Clark, Larceny Roars, Your Boy Blue, Sparky B, Insomnia, SC Phillip, Only Groupie, Zach Hartley, Reactive, Sean in the Ice, Scare Bear Garrett, that's fine. Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Peter Stewart, Cornar Wild, Uncle Butts, Quadja, Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on social media for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Major Tom,
John Koba,
The Gaming Kinkajou,
Dan the Man,
Sarcastic,
Roy Turner,
Bill Bob,
Mystic Muffin Man,
Zachary Coulson,
Jabaha,
Mace the Ace,
Dalton Poteet,
Justin,
Man Solo,
Jan Wildfang,
Thomas Bueno,
and David Nelson.
Thanks, y'all.
Woohoo!